begins. So I'm gonna kind of fix up my situation so I can see the YouTube and the Facebook.
The YubTubs.
YubTubs. There we go.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm going to be shifting into the dual monitor world.
Oh, nice.
Which is funny because I say that people are like, "How do you not have like 6 monitors?" Like, it's one of those things where like the work I do, I have to remote into machines and then remote into machines from that machine.
Yeah.
So I can't like
It's just
have that on separate screens because it's like going into a hole, not into a doorway.
for sure.
So it's like having multiple screens doesn't do me any good.
It's just not realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can get 2, and 2 would help me out because I could have one screen which is the remote in, and then the other one which is where I check all the dynamic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll help. But yeah, the most I've ever done is 3 screens.
Yeah.
And that's what I didn't have to, when I was all doing local dev. It was all like main screen is code. Then the right-hand screen is the result of code. And the left-hand screen is stuff like database/email.
Us German here wants to die for country.
Right now I have like this.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr.
Writing,
Cowboy?
Hell, I can
writing
get you told by
code,
3
save
o'clock this
deploy,
afternoon
do
with
that,
the
and
Apollo.
then I have to like shrink that and then open up
I like those
another
odds.
remote. So I'm
It's
remoting into a
the
remote into a remote.
Smoking Hot Nerds
Then I can then see the result of
podcast.
my code run.
Yeah, that's intense.
Which is, but it's like I deal with secure data, so I get it. But
There we go.
Let's
It's
kick it
the
off.
Smoking Hot Nerds podcast.
Hey,
There
everybody.
we go. Everything's working right, looks like. Say something, Nico.
I'm gonna say
you're
something,
good.
Nico.
All right, you're looking good. Waiting for Eric to come on board and maybe Brian. We'll see. Oh, there's Eric. Nope, just kidding. Yep, there he is.
Right on time.
Boom. Right. Right on time. Boom. There
On the
he is.
dot.
There's our little boy. Looking so handsome tonight.
Our big boy.
How early were you going to be tonight?
Pretty early.
Very early?
Well, I came home and my roommate had been cooped up. So I said, let's go grab drinks. This was like 2 hours ago.
Nice.
So we went and got drinks. And I just got back in time
And here you are.
for the fun.
For the fun, funnily
I
fun
wanted
funs.
to chat about.
Some drinky drinks.
Yeah. Some beverages. Oh, let me change my comment
Beverage.
moderation to slow.
Oh, I might grab something else real quick.
Yeah, go
Yeah, you're
grab
good.
something.
Be right back.
And then I'm gonna share this here thing and say, hey folks, come listen to us talk about stuff.
Talk about a little kissy, little bangy.
Kissy, bangy, bangy. Share more options. Share newsfeed. Boom. Come join us. We're live.
Are we live?
Oh, we're live.
Don't forget to start recording,
We're so live.
Eric.
And let's also not forget to tail slate so we don't blow people's ears out right now. So tail slate, don't shut off recording when we stop.
Definitely gonna forget that.
Yeah, right. How was
sure you
your...
wanna-
From now, remember.
Want to snap one right now?
This is like, yeah, me maybe.
Should we do it?
a-
All right,
Are you
folks.
recording?
Everybody's recording.
recording?
All right, we're going to, once again, we're doing our sound check.
Sorry,
slating
everybody.
and all that stuff live. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Boom. Go team.
4 minutes, 18 seconds.
Yeah. So, how was our week?
53.
Everybody having a good one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great.
Yeah. What was that for?
Are you talking about the discussion we had earlier today?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's kick it right off. Let's talk about it.
It's
Okay.
it's related.
How
A
do you
little
want
kiss,
to
little bang,
field
bang.
this
Well, so
conversation?
let's just start it out with Eric's. Eric's on the market. He's back on the old dating field, and he's giving it a try. What are you using right now? You're using the Bumble machine. What else are you using?
Well, I'm only on Bumble.
Just Bumble. That's
because
good.
I just don't care.
So does Bumble still work where the girl has to message first?
Yeah, lady has a message first.
Right.
And so here's the funny thing. So they put power into women's hands.
And?
God bless that. I'm all for that. And you know what 90% of women do when you match?
They
You know what
send
they
you
do?
a hand
Hi.
wave.
They give you the hand wave or they say hi. You go,
Mhm.
it's kind of cheating. You're kind of supposed to try. And they go, no, I'm the woman. You still are the one that has to try initially. You go, okay.
It's like the old Tinder days. It would be a thing where that was a whole deal. If you just started the first message was a hi or a wave, girls were just like, "What? You're not going to put any effort in?" Like every single
Yeah.
time. So tables are turned, ladies. Let's go.
hmm There have been many, not that many times. I'm nice. I am very nice.
Oh, yes, you are.
considering.
We know.
And there was one time I think I was fed up, and some woman, she even kind of tried, but it was a canned question. She was like, "So if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, tacos or sushi?" And I think I answered, and I was just like being playful, and I was like, "Well, you're evil, making me choose one or the other, whatever." I wasn't even being a jerk, and she unmatched immediately.
We didn't answer the damn question. Come on,
And
man.
I was just like,
Yeah.
but there was someone else I think that was like, if you could pick any age that you could stay, what would it be? And I was like, if you ask me a real question, I'll answer you.
That's awesome.
Or you unmatch immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and right now during the pandemic, it's so useless. Like there's no reason for anyone to be engaging with each other because
Right.
no one wants to go on a virtual date.
Right.
No
Yeah.
one wants to meet in real life. It's pointless, right? But
Yeah.
everyone still swipes and they still match and they still try and chat
Yeah.
and none of the conversations go anywhere because there's no point.
Right.
Right? Like you have to get in a room with someone else in real life next to each other to see is there something or nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's all a waste of time. So
Yeah.
that's where dating is in 2021. Is that what
Scary.
you're in? Yeah.
It's so weird. I was thinking about it. So I forgot that Bumble was the reverse process.
Yeah.
Where
Initially. Yeah.
right initially they reach out to you. So when we saw this conversation train that happened, I had thought conversation had already occurred. Not
yeah,
that
no.
not
Oh,
that
it
she
has,
just
it
sent you
has.
the wave and you responded.
Right.
It's very, very interesting though, like social dynamically of like what you want to just be like, what do you want? Like because it's
I'm at this point where I'm kind of like, tell me your deepest, darkest secret to start. Because this is all so boring and it's so pointless right now. Can
Yeah.
we just like do something that's not hi, how are you surviving this winter with
Yeah.
the pandemic? It's just like,
Right.
can we just break from this like BS of
Yeah.
trying whatever norms used to exist because it's all broken right now. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
no, I
that's where
love
I'm
that you
living.
were just like straight, just like cannon shot across the bow with your response. Because right, it's one of those like you get those stupid little. If you could be a fly on a wall anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Mhm.
Listen,
Okay.
it's anywhere where I'm not having this conversation with you
Yeah.
because this is not a thing.
So without
you will
going into
never
much
ask me that.
Yeah. So without going into much detail, today
Yeah, we can be
I
vague.
sent
Absolutely.
a text to the fellas,
Uh-huh.
and I'll say what the pictures were.
Sure.
Yeah.
The young woman, she's like cute, curvy young woman, filling herself up with tattoos, of course, because that's the thing. Right now.
Self-esteem.
Yeah, because and I didn't want to tell her that I think someone filling themselves up with tattoos is the equivalent of human bumper stickers.
Yeah.
Like just get Gore, whatever Gore's running mate was, 2020. Like
Yeah, right.
just get that tattoo because it's the same shit.
Gore Verbena. No.
What
Who
the hell
was
is
Gore's running mate? That's a good question.
Oh, we'll see if we can remember.
Yeah. If
But
anyone out there
anyways,
knows, comment.
It's a
Let us
young
know.
woman. She's cute. She's lovely. She got a tongue piercing, and it's easily 7 or 8 pictures
Yeah.
of her not 100% of her profile plus
Right.
her Instagram sampling that you can see.
Oh yeah.
But at least 7 or 8 pictures if we're going.
Yeah, tongue out. The standard like
Peace
looking
sign,
at you, tongue out,
tongue
see my
out.
stud.
She's also
Look at my
got the
stuff. Look at my
You got the
stuff.
the
filter.
Snapchat
Every
filter,
single one has the
the
filter
little
with
black hearts under her
She's
eyes.
putting
Yeah.
little things.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be talking to her. She's too young.
Well, yeah, duh.
But what do I care?
No, fair enough.
The
And
world's on fire.
it's funny too because it's one of those things where this is how I know I'm getting old. Is that I saw that and immediately was like, I guarantee she's sub 25. And the reason I know this is the following: one, she's using the same filter in over 50% of her photos. Two,
Yeah.
90% of her
Just
photos
the
have her with her tongue
technological
out.
limitations.
Yeah.
Nico's like, she hasn't expanded her technological knowledge
Right.
Yeah.
enough. She must be under 25.
She's
Obviously.
Same filter has the tongue is out, which there's a certain point when I'm going to generalize. There's a certain point when people start taking photos where the tongue just makes its way back into the mouth.
But
Certain
I
point
don't
in
think
time.
that was a thing. It's more of a thing now. I go
Oh,
on
no,
a
you can-
certain site, and all of a sudden I see this weird tongue-out animal thing, and I don't know what that.
Well, because it
movement
almost
is.
did look like it almost looked like a symbol, like back in the day when, like gay rights in the '80s, everyone had a different bandana that color signified
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
what you like your orientation or what you were into and stuff like that. The smattering of pictures of her doing that was almost as if she was like signaling a club, like telling you that she was in some kind of a club where they do weird
I'm
things with
in
their
this
tongue.
gang
Yeah.
that is tongue-centric.
Yeah.
Right. So she does a wave. She does the most minimal. She doesn't even
sauce.
type HI.
Right.
Yeah,
She gives a wave.
Yeah.
it's in her
Which is
favorites.
the
Yeah,
best.
Yeah.
Like the wave has come up when women realize they didn't even have to use their thumbs multiple times. They went, "Oh my god!"
Just
I can
one push.
Click wave.
She could use her tongue to send that one.
She made
Oh,
it
the
good.
the other
Yeah, she
the other
may have.
earmarks of, as I politely called them, red flags, was the 3 different hair colors, but you could see in the photos the progression of the hair color. So you could see when it was dark, and then you could see when she got it dyed blonde, and then you could see when she got it dyed blue, and then later on when she forgot to re-dye it, so it was starting to grow out.
Ah.
Right. It's
So
like,
she's got blue plus blonde plus roots. Like
She
ooh.
became Black Widow Endgame, where like it's just like I don't care.
Over
it
it.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Everything is burning.
And I love that your response to her was to call out these messages, if you will. And she's like, "Wow, that's really strong for a first contact." Like, all right, we're done.
Yeah, your
Well-
first message, and I'm like, and also, in all fairness, while I was being very in that strong direction, I was still subtle. I was still clever.
True.
I
Yeah.
never said words, right?
Yep,
so
yep,
she
yep.
could have.
It was all
She
illusion.
could have, as
Yeah.
lazily as she could have, thrown an emoji
Mm-hmm.
or a
Right.
whatever, and then we move on with some conversation. We can talk about the weather, whatever boring thing she really wanted to talk about, right? So yeah, it's fascinating, and she gave me the whole. I've never experienced this before. I'm like,
Right.
That got me too. That was really funny.
This is the first time anyone's pointed out the fact that all of my pictures had a tongue ring, and that clearly signified oral. Like this is the first time this has ever happened. I doubt it, but she did call you cutie at the end.
yeah, and you know what she hasn't done? She hasn't unmatched. It's still sitting there.
I dare you.
Let me see. Oh, I'm gonna wait a little bit, and then I'm gonna be like, I couldn't help but notice that we're still matched for some reason.
Well, she's
Your
waiting for you.
indignation did not seem to push you to an unmatch.
You should do the gentlemanly thing, and unmatch her first.
Yep,
Right.
she's still there.
Nice.
No, so
Aside from the fact that she's way too young.
Right.
oh, of course.
There's there's signal flares going off like crazy.
Yeah.
Daddy horny, Michael.
This isn't turning out to be the party. What was it? The party paradise I'd hoped it would be. Smells like chicken.
Did you stick it to her?
Yeah. So when I was relatively new to the market, I was on the Tinder machine, and it was just after the election where Donald Trump was elected. And so I had matched with somebody, and we kind of started making plans to meet. We're busy or whatever. And like it was one of those weird ones where all the texting was great. It was like really good. Like the chemistry was there. Like it was just like, and I was like kind of texting differently. Like it was just there, man. It was like on fire. And she was cute. Like it was working. Like, and we were like aligned.
For all intents and purposes.
Like, yeah, it
seems
was
like
working.
Yeah.
And these are the days, so I was bartending still. So I was working on the weekends. Like, and so it's just like, so my world was just kind of backwards from everyone else's. And I was like, because she knew I was working, so we were going to get together. And I was like, so what are you going to do tomorrow? And she goes, I'm going to the Women's March. And I said, and these were the days too where I was like completely clueless to what was going on in the world. And I go,
I knitted myself a hat.
Yeah.
Knitted a hat. What are you
I didn't
talking
know
about?
I didn't know there was a march. And she goes, what? You haven't heard about the Women's March? And I said, no, probably because I'm not a woman. I didn't realize that it was like this massive movement against the election results. I had no idea. And so I legitimately thought it was
out
like,
of the loop. I got
I
you.
just thought it was like a women's march. And I was like, cool, go be a girl. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's
Is it
why I
like a
didn't.
Spartan race?
Yeah, exactly, for girls. And I didn't know what it was. She wrote me.
Like the Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
right. Like the opening
The
of Wonder
island
Woman.
of Thermoc lilies? Yeah. Go knock yourself out, girl.
It's
Get mud
12,
on yourself.
28-year-olds versus a 6-year-old, and go. And anyway, she
6-year-old
wrote me the
will teach you for all
longest
intents and
note
purposes.
and it was just like basically it was the goodbye
Condemning
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
without even having any empathy or any wondering why I would like. She just
Why would
immediately
she give
went.
the empathy to you?
Yeah, right.
You're a
She
piece
went
of
from
trash.
I must have been a Trump supporter, like just like that, and I was done, and it was just like unfriended. I was like, well, that excelled rather quickly. Yeah.
See, this is what out here, I think I mentioned earlier, it's like threading a needle.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like threading 5 needles in a row.
Yeah.
And it's just like, am I supposed to try?
What am I supposed to do?
I don't have muscles. I don't have a ton of money.
But you do have 7 different Iron Man figures.
That's the thing that's like.
But I have grown my virginity back.
But that's the part that kills me. It's like when you
Born
you-
again
you
through Mark
basically-
44.
You called this girl out on her purpose for the match. It was,
And I
which is what you.
wasn't even mean. I went back.
No, that right.
hours
No,
very
you were
nice.
and I
right.
was
You were
like,
just.
Very nice.
I
was-
could
it was
have
well
really
written.
called her out and said,
Right.
you're either A, an idiot, B, delusional, or C, completely full of BS.
Yeah.
And I hope it's C for your sake.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you
Right.
The jux of
I
what you
didn't
did
say
was
that.
you called her out and said to the point of like, you're using this as a hookup site. Like, let's not pretend like this isn't.
Yeah.
You're not
Because the pictures that weren't her tongue ring were her breasts and hips.
Yeah.
And midriff. The ones I didn't send
Not only
were sexual in a different way.
he's
right?
grown his virginity back, and he's from the late 1800s. She was showing her hips.
Midriff.
I saw an ankle,
Everybody.
folks.
Right.
High
So
ankle.
This is what it was.
I
It
saw
was
a cankle.
either tongue or
or other
bosoms.
bosoms. No, it's
Those are
funny
the
though
two
because
options.
it's like the fact that her response was, "I've never heard this before." What today?
Honestly,
Yeah.
Like-
nobody. I know. I almost was like, "Did you just join Bumble 20 minutes ago?"
Is this your first dating app or conversation with a man ever?
That she
'Cause-
didn't get to that part while she was texting with her tongue. Her tongue was getting tired, so she meant to say she's never heard that in the last 20 minutes.
Anyway, we should
very
segue
funny.
because that was good
Yeah.
stuff.
It's very entertaining.
It is
Speaking
a
of
cesspool.
entertaining, there it is.
the cesspool of dating. Well, this week we watched Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. 2005.
Steamroll.
I like that
Just
name,
bulldozer
jumps
right
in.
into
I
that.
want to go right back to. I want to talk more about Eric's virginity.
It's close to being complete.
Well, COVID
Circle
did it to you,
is
so
nearly complete.
Should we do Nerds Before Dark?
Yeah.
The movie, the Nerds After Dark.
so Shane Black.
Let's open with prayer.
Hold hands, everybody.
Did anybody bring cookies? So,
Heavenly
No.
Father.
all right, done. You're
I'll
done.
Stop. I'll stop.
So 2005, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, written and directed by Shane Black of Die Hard fame. No.
Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon, rather. Yes, for
He
Lethal Weapon.
wrote Lethal Weapon.
Wrote Lethal
He
Weapon.
punched up Predator. All the vile one-liners in Predator. I'm pretty sure that's Shane Black. He's the first guy that gets killed in Predator. Because they were so cheap, they had to have him as a.
They used the
cast
writer
member
as an
for
actor.
him to punch up the script on site.
Oh, amazing.
What else have you done?
He wrote.
Iron Man 3.
Oh, okay.
He directed that, of course, with Robert Downey Jr.
Mhm.
Yep.
He wrote
Monster
Monster
Squad.
Squad. Yeah.
Yep, with Frank Decker, the guy who he teamed up for The Predator, which clearly he wanted to burn that franchise to the ground, and he did.
Successfully. Full success.
Mission complete. Yeah.
Now, I think we could spare the audience the synopsis.
Sure.
And only because we'll just walk through the movie again because the synopsis is very confusing. So we'll do a Samurai Cop style and we'll just kind of start at the beginning and kind of work our way through and, touch on some points. But I was confused. I'd seen it once before. I saw it in the theater when it came out.
Yeah.
So you saw it right away.
And I loved it
Okay.
in 2005.
And you didn't know why.
Exactly. I watched it Monday night, and I hated it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons. Had you guys seen it before or not?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nico, go. What's your background?
Yeah. So I saw it. I did not see it in the theater, but I saw it shortly after. Somebody, like, as soon as it was available through media, that's when I was starting to. 2005 was I just moved to Vegas, and I think that's when I was just mowing through Netflix when it was still mailing you digital media. So you would get these like suggestions, and then I would just hop on a train. And I think it was a Val Kilmer train because I saw like Salt and Sea and The Saint, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang,
Batman.
Yeah, no. But so it was like a Val Kilmer train that I got started on, and then it was like, I loved it because it's not your standard story or presentation of a story. It's very non-standard. It's got like a film noir type feeling where there's a narrator, but they're also getting into this stuff of like just smashing the fourth wall. Like there's points where they stop the film and like rewind or do hard, like the old school. They don't really do it anymore because everything's digital. But when the film used to come off the rail and like flip, and they did a couple of those kind of edits, which was clever, and it's still clever to this day. But yeah, no, it was so different, but it was still just a really great suspense story that I loved. And then the second time watching it, I got closer to finally understanding everything because they talk so fast and so very like Kevin Smith, where they're going to pound through the words and not slow down for you to catch up. They're just going to move, and it's either catch up or get off. That's basically. So I finally kind of caught the full everything that happened, or at least everything that happened. I was able to like re-gel it back together with stuff we had previously seen and that stuff. So this time I think I cemented the whole what happened. Whereas the first time I saw it was just like everything's flying at you and you're just like, oh my, and then it ends and there's the ending, and then it's the prologue. No, what's the ending log? Epilogue. Thank you. The epilogue stuff, and you're like, all right, I think so. But I remember when I first saw it, the feeling of like, this is so good is because it put me in that state of like, I wasn't able to keep up. And I'm not mad at the ending. So this is
That
great.
must mean it was amazing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What did you think, Virgin?
So I can't remember what year I watched this, what era in my life, but I'm gonna say like 6 years ago. Wishy I watched it, so it was way past when it had been released, and I watched it, and I wasn't super into it the first time. I remember a couple things about it, but I'd forgotten pretty much everything, and so I watched it this time, and the first at least 20 minutes were rough for me to get into it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, here we go. It's Robert Downey Jr. being the blah, 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 and here we are. But by the end, I went, okay, I liked it better than my first viewing. What do I give it? 7. I don't know. I think the interesting thing is I like Shane Black, but he's so repetitive in the way he does things. And there's something about now watching this movie that he got to encapsulate it better, I think. Where it's like, you watch Iron Man 3 is like a good example, where it's like, it's Iron Man 3 plus Lethal Weapon. And he's like jamming that kind of thing.
Right.
And he's jamming, it's like, there's the scene where Robert Downey Jr. is tied up on the bed frame. And the guys are talking about like, he's like, they're like having side talk about how far Nashville is from where they are,
right.
whatever.
Yeah,
it's meaningless, but it's Shane Black type of it's small gabbing during some moment that usually in cinematic history is very tense and everyone really cares about the moment. But here Shane Black's going to throw in some wackyisms that are like levity, over the top levity, right? But I felt like this movie was more consistent in it instead of him like shoehorning it into movies that you're like, this doesn't fit.
Yeah, there were a lot of errors in this film that really bothered me from the start. Here's the thing. 2005, this would have been like 9 out of 10. I mean, like, okay, cool. This is like Tarantino level, or what's his name, who does the, did Snatch and all that.
Houdini.
Guy Ritchie.
Houdini. Yeah, so it's like Guy Ritchie, Quentin Tarantino level when I saw it the first time. It has not aged well, in my opinion. And in particular,
it's definitely stood out.
Its views towards homosexuality has not aged well. Because Val Kilmer is one of the three main characters. You got Val Kilmer, you've got Robert Downey Jr., and essentially the movie opens with Robert Downey Jr. at a Hollywood party. And he had just come in from New York, he had stumbled on a casting, and he is now in LA, and he's supposed to be auditioning for this big movie role. And so it's just really, really, really like dumbed down, watered down version of like Entourage Party, where he's complaining about how everyone's so completely, on the surface, and it's not, like Hollywood parties, who cares?
Well, he is in LA, so to be fair.
Yeah, true. But he's, it's just very, very, very basic. And then you're introduced to Val Kilmer's character named Perry, who they affectionately call Gay Perry, because he's a homosexual. And so there are just gay jokes throughout the whole thing that are not funny anymore, like at all. Like, to think how different it's viewed 15 years later is really interesting. And it's just, I thought that was just really strange, and I'm sure everyone was on board with it 15 years ago, and now you kind of look at it and you're like, a little uncomfortable about
it's a
this
weird
gay
time
stuff.
capsule for sure.
Yeah.
As anything is, when you're trying to be progressive, it's always going to age poorly.
Yeah. Not to mention
But
that
as progress moves forward. That's why people like to be conservative, because they go, I always know what that is.
Right,
that line never moves. Progressivism keeps moving, and
keeps
I'm
on
gonna
moving forward.
yeah.
Yeah. Fashion is a rough one too. late 90s to mid 2000s fashion is just a rough time. It's just not
Did
good.
any of you, when you were in college, just feel like, man, I just was born at the wrong time?
I look back and think
'Cause
that.
that's how I felt during all of it. I went, this is the music that's big. Ugh,
Yeah.
This is the fashion that's big. Ugh, boy.
Oh, boys, we were
Rough.
in our college year prime when ska was at its height. So
Yeah.
that's a rough one.
I learned how to swing dance.
Yeah.
I had a girlfriend take me to swing dance lessons.
I was in a ska band for like 4 minutes. It was great. I played the bass.
Did you guys make an album cover?
No, I was in a
I saw
acoustic
an album
band.
cover. Okay, that was the
Yeah,
acoustic band.
there was that. We were in ska.
Oh, it should have been ska.
Yeah.
Should we start? Okay, I'm gonna start a D&D ska squad.
Ska squaw. But yeah, the music.
Oh, Nico's getting his fun pop or Funko. What are they called? Funko Pop.
Funko. I wonder if it's
Ska pop.
a ska Funko.
A skunko.
But it's rough because what do you have there? Is that
What is it?
is that the what is that?
That's
This is
your
my
thing, isn't it?
college band.
That's not mine.
Oh, this is mine.
Niner Jur.
Grr.
You're called Niner Gur.
No, just Grr.
Just Gur.
No.
And the album
We were
was
Niner. The album was called Grr.
What are you guys standing in front of
Toy.
or behind?
It's a
Is that a
3D
mannequin?
model. No, it's 3D. It's a computer generated woman.
Yes. A naked woman.
Let me come on, hold it back up.
Blonde
Let's see
woman
that. I
with
want
a
to see what you guys are
ponytail.
wearing just to solidify.
Now, are you playing soccer? Because you all look like there's a free kick is about to happen.
Well, yeah. So this is the
And
funny.
you're
So
creating the wall holding your junk.
Yeah.
we were supposed to be standing there with our pants down, but I wasn't wearing pants. I was wearing shorts. So pants, shorts, pants. So it doesn't make sense.
Oh, you're all wearing. Oh, those are your boxers.
Those are
And your
boxers.
pants are down.
Yeah.
Are you guys masturbating?
No, just we're
Sure.
covering our junk in front of the naked lady.
Oh, I see.
And
So
then
what kind of
that was-
band were you?
Please say ska. Please say ska.
Please.
No, it was kind of like
Please
a bad punk band.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, how many punk bands are good? Let's be honest.
true.
That's fair.
I think
Oh,
we
speaking of-
need
God.
that music.
So speaking of, see where is it? Can you see it right here?
Yeah.
You see
Yeah, it's your
The
high school
curls.
haircut.
it? And my tongue is out of my mouth. I told you there's a point where your tongue just whoop, works its way
It
back
was
in.
you that experienced that. Oh, did you have a tongue ring?
No, God no.
So you're a punk
Would
band.
you be offended if I assumed something?
Yeah, no, we were in a little punk band, and it was. So the story is they're all guys in my fraternity, and the lead singer and the bass player. The lead singer was 2 years ahead of me, and the bass player was 1 year ahead of me, and then it was me. So basically, we had the whole like senior, junior, sophomore, freshman, but that's not how it started. It was
Quad.
there was four of us, and it was the lead singer and his girlfriend, and then a friend, and then me. So our first like four songs are about like love and stuff, and then between my freshman and sophomore year, they broke up.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the remainder of the songs were just like not friendly, and then she quit, and so then we picked up
Wait.
a new freshman.
They broke up and they tried to stay in the band.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have a very vivid memory of us in the basement of the house they were renting playing a song. And he's like, I've got a new one. I'm like, all right. He starts playing it, and she's just like burning him to the ground with her eyes. And I'm like, I'm supposed to figure out the drum part for this.
I
number,
never
Lee.
liked your cookies. I never liked your cookies.
Why don't you have a tongue ring?
Yeah, we have let's see. One of the songs is called
Have a tongue ring, but you never use it.
one's called Weasel, which is about the guy that she was dating. We have
The
one
other
song
guy?
called She's Missing, which is not about her abduction. We have one called Mist.
They're scouring the forest.
Yeah.
This
This is,
fourth one is called Dragging the
And
Pond.
the final one is called Shallow Grave.
Oh, there's a secret video at the end of the CD. I forgot about that.
Wow.
Any hoozle. Yeah, so college band.
So show that label again though. My college
Niners.
band, I also made it, I created the cover and I made it look like notebook paper as well. Our band
Did
was
you
called
really?
Yeah, it's called Acoustic Sunset. And yeah. So that was
Do you think
I used
that's
that
like,
as well.
boy.
was it? Did you guys both use college rule?
Oh, mine was College Rule. Yeah, I actually drew it. I
It's
actually
College
made
Rule.
it. Yeah.
Okay,
Made it
so
on
that's
paper.
the connection.
Yeah.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to figure out how
Yeah, no, this
two
was
of you.
Oh my gosh, that would have been a
Use the
great
same
band name. College
college
Rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Did you have a college band, Eric?
No. Well, okay. I can't get away from the geekiness. I was in the a cappella group, the official Adams State College a cappella group.
That's why you're still a virgin. Or born
We were
again.
called 68 West. And I said, can we change the name to, I'll give
69
you
South?
68 West, and you can owe us one?
Nice.
And he was going for it.
And they're all like, get out. Just get out.
I will
Like
say,
68 West is the address of the school. Like,
me and the teacher kind of had a thing that just never, we
Hmm.
couldn't, a forbidden thing that we never did.
What was his name?
I was gonna ask
See?
the same question.
See?
It was right there. You could see it.
It's those terrible, terrible jokes of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang coming out.
Yeah, right.
It was well placed.
Mm-hmm.
I will say no more.
Yeah. That's cool. So how old was she though? Like late 20s?
Oh, she was like late. No, she's late 30s.
Nice.
It's like me talking to tongue ring girl.
So you never made a move. She never made a move either.
The opportunity came, and I went, no.
It was there. It was right in front of you.
It was.
What was it
right
like?
there.
Were you nervous? Were you scared? Were you shaking? I would be
I
shaking.
wasn't shaking because I went, this is where it would have happened.
Where were you?
I knew the whole time it wasn't going to because I couldn't. Because I was a moral man.
Ah, yes. Good job. I mean,
All right.
way to ruin it.
I
But
was. Then I was.
Oh, yeah.
Then I was.
Oh,
Now I'm a piece of trash.
we all have that college story where, like, man, if I
I
could go
was.
back, different path.
yeah. Now you're trolling
She
22-year-olds
was
on a Bumble.
married. I was engaged.
Oh,
yeah, no, okay,
you're
okay,
engaged
okay,
then.
okay.
Oh,
Oh,
gotcha.
All right.
We just thought morality, like, you're on the straight and narrow. But
Oh
gotcha.
no! If we were both single, I would have been a sloppy attempt at something.
Yeah.
And she probably would have been like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, yeah.
And so the way I can remember it is, it could have happened,
Could have happened.
but it was never tested. So we get to live in the maybe.
You should look her up. She's probably 60 by now. You guys
Oh,
can
she got remarried.
Oh,
She's happy. Good for her.
good.
Yeah.
I love that you held us on the suspense of, like, he's being a good guy. Like, oh no, she was married and I was engaged. Like, that's all you had to say, man.
Yeah.
She was like distance married. They had to separate.
Hmm.
Because they both they were never two teachers in the same like field.
Ooh, yeah.
They met together, but they were never gonna come back to the same university in the future.
And he was in the a cappella group, so it'd be really awkward. So anyway, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. So
Yeah, circling back.
another thing that was very
Small
bothersome
divergence.
about this film is it's sort of the movie opens in a flashback in which we're meant to assume, and we're just assuming this to begin with, so I don't know why they have to talk about it later, but it's a kid doing a magic show, and so this kid is very charismatic, and he's doing this big magic show, and it's about this girl getting cut in half, and the girl's like screaming because the chainsaw's
he
killing
tells her
her.
to sell it. You got to sell it.
Yeah, and she sells it.
There's a boy then with doing the cut in half, but he's got a real chainsaw.
Real chainsaw.
So there's real stakes. You think?
Yeah.
Right.
And so she screams bloody murder, and her dad comes running. He lifts up the box, and she's totally fine. And she's like, I'm going to be an actress. Cut to black. Now we're with Robert Downey Jr.
Backhander.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Let's get that little detail in.
About to physically abuse his daughter. So anyways, we already can figured out that that's Robert Downey Jr. is the magician.
You know from second one.
Yeah, and you know that the girl is Michelle Monaghan's character. Yeah. Anyways, we're then sort of prepared along the way that Robert Downey Jr. still kind of has that girl in his mind. But the thing is, in my mind, I'm watching this going, okay, yeah, so he had this big crush on a girl when he was like 9 and she was like 7 or whatever, right? So, but then she moved away and they never saw each other.
No, they were together they were like the best friend zone thing during high school and stuff.
Correct. And that's the problem.
We learned that later.
Because Robert Downey Jr. and her have this incredible chemistry when they meet randomly at a party and then again sort of randomly at a bar. And then she reveals, what's his name? Was his name Harry or?
Yeah.
It's like, Harry, it's me. When are you going to recognize me? So Michelle Monaghan's character is this little girl from the beginning. And we find out that Robert Downey Jr. and Michelle Monaghan's character were like best friends in like high school.
Yeah.
And then we're supposed to believe that 20 years later, he doesn't recognize the girl, the one that got away. Like, that's such nonsense. Like, if they were like 9 and 7, I could buy that. Because then
Yeah. The only thing that Shane Black attempts to do in painting this whatever thing, I get you. You're not wrong. But is that where'd they grow up?
Somewhere in Indiana.
Space camp.
Midwest.
Yeah,
Midwest,
Indiana,
hardcore.
that's what it was, yeah.
He's moved to Manhattan or New York. She went to L.A. He randomly goes to L.A. Everything's completely out of context. And he sees her passed out and some guy's like groping her.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells the guy to screw off, don't be a weirdo. And so then hours later, the guy kicks his ass.
Yeah.
And then hours later, he finds her at a bar. So I get like that it's so out of context. And maybe why would he recognize her? Why would he think that his high school sweetheart is this person randomly in LA?
Yeah, but here's the thing. All the girls that you had a crush on in high school, you would know exactly what they look like.
But in real life again?
But unless they like gained a bunch of weight or, got horribly disfigured, and it's Michelle Monaghan. I mean, she's like one of the most beautiful, like, especially at that point in time, like one of the most out of control, gorgeous actresses ever. You don't not recognize her.
Well, sure.
Like you can't pull that card with me when you're dealing with when you're using actresses like on that level. If it was like Judi Dench and he was just like, man, you've aged. Yeah, then you're like, okay, I got it. But no, it doesn't work. And so that kind of stuff just pulls me right out of a movie.
Okay.
I was on board with the I don't recognize you until you find out. Yeah, they've had this like she was the Great White Buffalo. Like,
yeah,
I remember my Great White Buffalo.
I remember all my buffaloes,
and it's like, yeah, I would be able to pick her out from across a crowded theater. Like, I wouldn't be like, who again? No. I would have been like creepily like.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
Right. Right.
But again, I think so. It's like if one of mine showed up in Boston.
Okay. Was it the teacher?
I don't think I wouldn't assume. Well, the teacher I would know.
Well, I'll give you this.
What I'm saying
I know people
is
that
there was no Facebook, right?
Yeah.
They didn't friend each other, and he
Yeah.
doesn't see what she currently looks like. He didn't see that she got into whatever commercial that she claimed to have gotten into.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying. We
I
don't
will
have to
give it
dwell
some
on this.
credence because I'm also a very
Don't
visual
dwell.
person. So a lot of my sight memory based acuity is visually based. So if somebody is not visually based type person, I could see how maybe. But
They also set him up as he's a thief. He's
Yeah.
a burglar. It's like I think that his skills would be more honed than that.
Yeah, he's the clumsiest thief imaginable.
Yeah.
It's like he's trying to steal the Jingle All the Way toy.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
So that one just was like kind of
Well,
a big bummer.
and
fair.
there's a lot of plot laziness in getting all of them together.
Mhm.
Where it's like, why is she at the party, and why is he at the party, and why is Val Kilmer at the party? And it was really contrived. Like
Mhm.
none of it was natural. It's like, what was it? The toy that Robert Downey Jr. in New York, it almost steals. He's
Right.
on the phone with like a niece or
His
something,
nephew or
or
niece.
nephew.
Yeah.
yeah,
And the kid's like, no, I want this toy. You're at the toy store. Wait, is it open? And he's like, yeah, sure, it's open.
Mhm.
It's after hours. He's robbing it. And he's looking at like this kind of RoboCop knockoff, or like literally, it's like the Jingle All the Way
Yeah.
action hero guy, but he's blue. And he's like, this guy, and the kid's like, no, that's old. I don't want that. And you circle back and you go, why is what's her name? Michelle, not Bridget Moynihan.
Right. Michelle Monaghan.
Michelle Monaghan. Why is she at the party? Because the guy who played that Jingle All the Way type character in a TV show
yeah,
was washed up, had the suit on, drunkenly walked into her apartment, and she spooked him, and he fell off her balcony and like broke his back and is paralyzed.
yeah.
And she's on TV, and the producer that's hired Val Kilmer and also is giving Robert Downey Jr. his screen test sees this
Right.
news interview and goes, who's she? Invite her to my party. So magically they're all at the party.
Yeah.
Right? That's the whole setup for how they meet.
Not
It's
to mention,
incredibly contrived,
yeah,
very lazy.
that her
It's
apartment,
funny but stupid. Yeah.
her apartment that he climbs into, it's like,
How expensive is that apartment?
well, like right now, like $4,500 a
$10
month.
trillion.
Yeah, yeah. It's John Elway money, man. Yeah. But like we were saying, in 2005, it was probably like $2,500, $3,000 a month. What did she do for a living? Because if she's a
was-
washed
She
up
was
actress,
washed
Commercial.
up.
Yeah.
she's not working there, or she's not living there. That's for sure.
She got one gig.
Yeah, like right off the Venice
Once.
boardwalk. It's like, no, that's not where she lives. She lives in the valley. She lives in Tarzana. So
Well,
stop it.
how'd you feel about the party and the interactions with people? And because Shane Black inserts this line that Robert Downey Jr. I think says, where he's like, I feel like L.A. is like the culmination where like someone went on the East Coast and like shook the rug, and all the normal girls hung on,
Mhm.
and every other girl in the country just like
Yeah.
swarmed to L.A.
I mean, that's true. Not really.
Well, I think it was funny.
There
They
are
had a
plenty
couple
of them
of
still here.
they had a couple of lines where he I'm trying to think of how it went. They walk up and it's always the what do you do? And he lied.
Yeah.
He's like, I invented dice, I'm retired. And she stares at him and he goes, we done? She goes, yep, and walks away.
Yeah.
But that is the I think the first time I went out to LA to visit, and when I talked to people, I got right away as like, they're very nice, until they realize that you're not going to help them. That you're a waste of time. And I got it though immediately. I wasn't offended. I was like, yeah, they're here to get famous, and they
The Power
can't
Network,
waste
yeah.
a second talking to someone that can't help them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to have
Bye.
like real friendships. There is an
No, what's the point?
amazing story that, oh God, I wish, who was it now? Now I'm going to butcher it because I just can't think of it. Somebody, I think that it's one of the Friends guys, not Schwimmer, not Matt LeBlanc. Who's the other one?
Joey
Oh.
SpaghettiOs.
Yes,
Oh, you're
him.
talking about the guy who played Chandler.
Yeah,
Oh, Matthew Perry.
Matthew Perry. So he does a story that he is at a party and he meets M. Night Shyamalan. And they're kind of having this
era? Do you know the
conversation. Sort of been like right at the tail ends of Friends, so somewhere in the Sixth Sense sort of world, like right when he was
height
kind
of
of popping,
Shyamalan.
yeah. And so what you're talking about even pertains to like as you're climbing the ladder, even when you're like nearly at the top of the ladder, where he's talking to M. Night and they just hit it off and they're like, the party's kind of winding down. Like, you want to go out and hang out some more? And he's like, yeah, let's go. So he's like out on the town, like partying with M. Night Shyamalan, like having a great time. And he's like a huge fan, but finally he's just like, look, I'm just going to like say something to him. He's like, hey man, like I love your movies. I would love it if we could work together. And the guy looks at him and he's like, huh? Turns out he'd been partying all night with not M. Night Shyamalan, just some investment banker who was at the party, who thought that he had just made a friend, but in reality, he thought that he was like partying with like one of his new favorite directors who he's maybe going to work with someday. So yeah, it works the same way. Everybody's kind of, I mean, we all are, but still, yeah. It seems
like,
heightened in Los Angeles.
But the fact that the person who was just on, like, at that time, the biggest TV show
Yeah.
is still playing that game.
Yeah, still playing the game. Yeah.
It's like, of course, everyone else is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah.
Nico, what did you enjoy? I mean, you liked it though. I mean, second time around, you're still like, yeah, this is great.
Still do.
Yeah.
No, I like the fact that it doesn't follow the standard narrative structure. Like I like that there's a narrator. I like that they bounce around in time.
Yeah.
I like that it has, I mean, like the film noir detective stories just in general to me are fun because they're really well done. What I liked about this one too is that this is probably the fourth time I've seen it.
Oh, wow.
And I finally caught on to the fact that it does the foreshadow reveal at the very beginning. The entire movie is laid out in the first like 10 minutes of narration, where they basically, and the thing that sealed it in that finally got me was that they were joking about, there's this old novel series which is kind of like a Sam Spade, like Hardy Boys type thing, that's like the connection throughout the whole movie.
Johnny Gossamer.
The Johnny Gossamer stuff, right? But they do that kind of thing when people are talking about something that's old and familiar, and then they come to the same line at the same time, and they're talking about and then there's the unnecessary torture, blah blah blah, and then there's the fact that they get tortured, and that's when it sunk in of like, oh man, this
foreshadows everything. Yeah.
They told us all of this stuff, and when you get that like aha moment, that's why it's still good. Right. Because now that I've seen it and know it, I'll see it every time and still enjoy it. I thought the Val Kilmer character was super good too, because it's like he had somebody. It's like Shane Black had an intern write the plot, and then he went through and all like the cliche points and turned them upside down. And one of my favorite ones is he's like, I'm going to screw up the line, but it's something effective like, I want you to go, or what do you think is under the dictionary under idiot? And Robert Downey Jr. says, a picture of me. He's like, no, it's the definition of idiot because you are one. All right. Where like you would expect that cliche joke of like a picture of you, but he addresses that and says no. And then there's a point too where he's like, he's trying to say goodbye, but he's like, all right, sleep badly. Don't talk to me. If you want to call me, don't. Or if you think about calling me, hesitate or something like that. It's just that like the unquippiness where you're like, oh, here's the happy pleasantries, and it's like the exact opposite of happy pleasantries. There's also a good one, which they're so good I'm gonna screw them up, but it's something effective like, I can't believe you know how to eat except you hear your own garbage coming out of your mouth all the time, or like you wouldn't know where to feed yourself. Yeah,
right. You wouldn't know where your mouth was if you didn't flap it so often. Something to that effect.
Something like that, because that one in particular is funny to me because I have a favorite one, which is, if I wanted to hear your tongue wag, I'd rip your jaw off and slap your face. Or if I wanted to hear more shit come out of your mouth, I'd tear your tongue off and shove it up your ass. So those kind of jokes are just super funny to me. But yeah, no, I like that there's the congruent nature of the film, where they talk about like in every Gossamer novel, there's always two stories that separate and they come back together. And this one did that. And two stories separate and then they come back together.
right.
You think
But
it's
then-
two mysteries?
Oh, that didn't sound good.
Johnny Gossamer got you again.
But it turns out it was one big mystery the whole time.
Yeah, and then just the way that the stuff is like unveiled and revealed and unveiled and revealed, and just powered through it. Like I said, I like that they just punch through the fast dialogue, and it's either keep up or don't. That's the kind of stuff I like, and it's a time capsule. So like they've got like Nokia phones and stuff like that. So aside from all like the gay jokes, definitely don't track anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like I said, time capsule. Moving on. You know.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think that I'm being a little too hard on it from that.
No, it's fair though,
respect.
because if you've
Give it a
never
hard
seen
on,
it,
go for it.
Yeah.
yeah, if somebody has never seen it and you're like, hey, go watch this movie, you do
Right.
have to preface it and be like, hey, by the way,
Yeah.
it's a little homophobic. Or actually, it's a lot of homophobic.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you want to, because we just watched Dallas Buyers Club, same kind of thing. Like, I need you to get into like 1985 Texas rodeo mode when
Right.
you watch this movie,
Yeah.
because so just imagine that, right?
Yeah.
Just imagine you're face deep in a diesel engine. That's the attitude you need to have, because
Think
it's
more
also very homophobic.
Texas boners chub when you watch this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
but you're right. But that brings up a really interesting point though.
Fair.
What would you like? Should you recommend a movie that you have to, not necessarily like Dallas Buyers Club, because I think that movie is not, it's not making jokes about homophobia. It's just presenting the time period to you.
Yep.
But with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, it's a the meerkat just did a line and he pops back up. Well, hello.
I just pulled a Michael Bay.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
But Kiss
Seven
Kiss
more
is like,
skyscrapers and 13 more A18s.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
yeah,
Go ahead.
where it's the joke is it's my whole philosophy on comedy, where if you're going to make gay jokes or racist jokes or anything like that, the joke has to be on the person telling the joke.
Yes. Yeah.
Because the joke has to be turned around to say, what a racist dick or what a homophobic a-hole.
That's how it stays.
And that's
timeless.
not what Kiss Kiss
Right.
Bang Bang does. The joke is never.
Yeah.
Sometimes Perry gets his way, or he's able to turn it around, but
Well, I mean, there's a huge plot point that involves people being homophobic,
right.
and so it's like you can't. I know where you're going, and I think that you can still. That's why I never just recommend a movie yes or no.
Yeah.
Like everything has an asterisk, even if it's like I recommend this, but it looks like a kid's movie, but it's not. Or I recommend this, but it's got a lot of blood and guts in it. Or
But it's the guy who wrote the line in Predator. What are you, a bunch of slack-jawed faggots? Right?
Oh,
that's
same guy.
Shane
Gotcha.
Black.
Yeah.
So Shane Black in 87,
yeah,
Predator, is this stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus. It's all those lines. It's all the vagina jokes.
yeah.
My, I when I told my wife, or no, my wife said, I wish my pussy was smaller. I wish my pussy was smaller. Yeah, all these jokes.
That's all him. Ugh.
That's all. I assume all
Yeah,
those
oh, no,
punch-ups
yeah,
are Shane
absolutely.
Black.
Yeah.
Right?
Same flavor.
So
yeah,
that's him. It's but then it's also, so it's the crudeness, and then it's the like Lethal Weapon, Mel Gibson-y type
Yeah.
isms that are sprinkled all through, and like Shane Black can't escape it. It's like he's trapped. He's trapped himself in it, because you
Right.
watch again Iron Man 3, mega blockbuster movie. He's reunited with Robert Downey
RDJ.
Jr. and you're like, Lethal Weapon, Lethal Weapon. okay, Shane Black. He's like become a caricature of himself,
Right.
and he hasn't been able to quite get out of it. It's not that he can't have great moments, but yeah, he's kind of stuck himself.
That's what
his
makes
own prison.
elevates certain directors who still have a style. So when you talk about Tarantino or Guy Ritchie, people who have a very distinct style, what elevates them is their ability to sort of maintain that, to preserve that, to still kind of get with their stuff, but present it in different ways that makes it feel fresh and interesting. Because when you do like Inglourious Bastards set in World War II, and then you do a movie that's a Western, and then you bounce back and you do a movie set in 1970s Hollywood, you're kind of creating a really interesting world, but you're still kind of using some of the same like quippy dialogue and things like that.
Yeah.
With Shane Black, I just feel that same thing where it's just like it's always that cop buddy movie homophobic sort of stuff all the time. That's just it's not like it's almost like a Sofia Coppola thing where I loved Lost in Translation. Marie Antoinette was cool, but as you walk down, and then her most recent one, it's like, you ever gonna stop telling stories about rich
You
white
have
what
nothing else to say.
Yeah, like
Right,
what
right.
point in time are we gonna
is-
go, oh, I'm a sad, depressed writer. Like I'm over that, man. Like we're good on the
Look at all these poor rich people that
Mhm.
are just bummed out, and you're like, I don't care.
Yeah.
This is not connecting me to any of these people.
Yeah.
They can all burn down.
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
it's
think
one of
I'll
those things
burn.
too where I think the industry unfortunately requires people that can chameleon, but then people that are very pointed, like the right tool
Oh
for
sure,
the right.
yeah,
And so he may have at some point been like, I really want to write some like Charlie Kaufman-esque opus, and somebody's like, well, do you want to get paid, or do you like
right.
you want food, or do you want to write this opus? And he's like, all right. So
Yeah.
I'm sure
Paid.
at some point he might have done something, and somebody's like, listen, stay in your lane. I appreciate your artistic nature of wanting to do something like this, but this movie requires this tone, which is yours. So go.
Or maybe
it's
he
just-
stayed in
it's-
his lane because he likes his lane.
I really think this is his most quintessential movie. I think this, again, in watching Shane Black, where as much as I've enjoyed Shane Black, I go, oh, it's Shane Blackism. He can't get out of his own way.
Mm-hmm.
And I watch this movie again, and I go, this was the one where it worked. Not the best, because Lethal Weapon's Lethal Weapon, but as a thing that he wrote and directed, like this was his baby through and through.
Yeah.
It's the best you're probably going to get from him, because it's like he made that. Did we talk about The Predator?
Not yet.
Yeah. Clearly, he wanted to burn that franchise down, and he did. He burned it
Yeah.
down.
Full
He teamed
success.
up with Frank Decker, the guy, Monster Squad, which I still need to watch that movie. We should do Monster Squad.
I like Monster Squad. It holds
yeah,
up.
we should do it. I don't think I've ever seen it.
That's
Oh,
a good
wow.
one.
All right.
But anyways, yeah, I think Shane Black's just kind of done.
Well, I'll tell you what is great about the movie is the acting is phenomenal. Like
Yep.
RDJ,
It's Robert
Michelle
Downey
Monaghan's
Jr., like you
wonderful.
say. Oh,
But here's the thing: Val
is so
Kilmer is
lovely.
great. There's a great moment
Yeah.
where Robert Downey Jr. gets news on his little Nokia phone that Michelle Monaghan's character has committed suicide. Spoiler alert: she didn't, but he thinks she did in that moment. And so he's kind of sunk down, leaned up against Val Kilmer's Mercedes
I know that
as Val Kilmer's
Because
trying
he
to
just
leave.
reconnected with her.
Yeah, he just
and hooked up
reconnected.
with her friend
Yeah.
that night.
Yeah.
Wakes up the next morning thinking he's finally been with his dream girl. He sees her friend, freaks out, runs away. Later that day, gets a text.
That she's
She
dead.
has committed suicide, and he goes,
Well, it's not a text; it's a phone call. So there was no
It's a phone
texting.
call.
But he's leaned up against Val Kilmer's car on the sidewalk, and Val Kilmer's not being compassionate at all.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's such a masterful piece of comedic acting by someone you don't think of as a comedic actor, but he is.
Right,
You see him
right.
like in Willow, even The Saint, like all this stuff. He's a funny actor.
Yeah.
Sure.
And he's just going,
Gruber.
all right, well, I got to go. All right, I'm leaving. Okay, I'm going to go. And it's just
Robert
that.
Downey Jr. is like leaned back against his car, heartbroken. And Val Kilmer's like, okay, I gotta go.
He like literally reaches out of the window and like pushes him away so he can drive off. It's great. It's so good. And but that's one of those things where, I mean, I would have to get a hold of the script to find out.
If that was
Obviously
in there, or
that was
like
scripted,
discussion.
but it's played so well that it just like kills. It's so
It
so
looks
so
like
good.
improv.
Yeah.
right.
But it should not be. We should mention this before we go too, though. So this is the movie. The reason that you say like
Didn't
Eric,
get anywhere.
Eric, when you say like, oh, it's already Robert Downey Jr. doing his thing. Well, there wasn't a Robert Downey Jr. before this movie that we really can point to. This was just after Sobriety. This was.
Yep.
He was cast kind of as a long shot because I know Shane Black really loved him. And because he was a shit show of a human being, during the 90s and early 2000s.
After had he been arraigned? And
Yeah,
see him
he
in
spent,
the orange jumpsuit.
some time in jail. So anyways, this was like first like big critical hit of Sobriety.
Yep.
This is how he got Iron Man. This is what Favreau
4 years
used to point to. He's like, look, Marvel, this is Iron Man. This is who you need.
This is Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah,
You can't
so this is
argue
the
with
movie
me
why.
on this casting.
So this is how we got the Tony Stark, the Sherlock Holmes, all the versions of Robert Downey Jr. we know so well
absolutely.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because of this resurgence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because this is 2005. Iron Man's probably shooting in 2007.
Mm.
I think they only had a year. That release is 2008. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the reason why we know him and love him. Because Favreau was such a huge fan, I think, of the movie and of Robert Downey Jr., but he really, really, really championed the guy to get this part.
Well, and also it was to jump to Tony Stark. It's appropriate. He's supposed to be the piece of shit that becomes a hero.
Yeah.
Right.
So it worked. It's like, and Robert Downey Jr. talks about when he went to the audition, and he was like, I got to pretend that I rode here in a limo. Like Robert Downey Jr. felt the pressure of that moment, the potential of it. And he was freaking out because it's like, this is it. It's
Well, they made him
It's like,
screen test for Iron Man. He's like one of them. He was still, even though he was a mess and had just gotten out of prison, he was still one of the most famous people on Earth.
right.
Even
Yeah,
then,
he had
you
the
know.
name, but could he follow through? Especially, I mean, to that point, Marvel had miss. It was Daredevil, the Ben Affleck Daredevil,
Right.
and it was like Ghost Rider, and it was with Nicolas Cage, which I hope they bring back. Please bring back Nicolas Cage. I think they want him.
Well, let's not forget the original Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Like the
that
original.
might be Sony.
Remember that one? No,
Sony.
even before that,
Oh,
there was the Fantastic Four, the Marvel property.
what's
Yeah.
his name directed it? Yeah.
Yeah.
We should
Garbage
watch that.
Fire. Yeah, we'll have to find that.
That's our next week. I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah,
It's good. He's great. He was great in it. He was phenomenal in it.
Yeah, it took me a minute to get into him.
Yeah.
In this movie.
Once I was
But
inside
then I
him.
went, okay. What?
Once I was inside him.
But once you were inside of
Well,
him,
then the narration
Right.
is hard too because he becomes a flawed narrator. Yeah, in like the first 10 minutes.
right,
like calling out
he's
his own-
biffing the
Yeah, he's like,
narration.
oh, it's like I'm gonna be like your dad who tells the joke and says, wait, I forgot to tell you that the car is blue.
Mm-hmm.
And so they do that, and that's a quote, sort of a line from the film.
Yeah.
But so it's like that is hard because there's the disjointed nature of the narration,
Mm-hmm.
but then there's this huge story that's unfolding, and you're trying to keep up. Like you're just trying to figure out, I got to focus somewhere. Which way am I focusing?
Yeah.
Well,
what would
again,
you?
It's the sexy film noir, right?
Mm.
But then Shane Black goes, but what if one of the characters is a deadbeat idiot? then there's
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr.
Well, yeah, because he's
fits
the
in perfectly.
high synopsis of it is right. He's been lured to this audition that he snuck into because he was running away from the cops in a failed robbery and stumbled into an audition where they're like, okay, because his partner does get shot, right? Like
Yeah.
as they're
Some woman on a balcony like sees that
Yes,
they're running
that's
away
what- right.
from a
Mhm.
arm.
right.
From
They're
a
breaking out.
robbery.
They're robbing a toy
Who
store,
knows
and
how she sees that? But
random
whatever.
citizen
Right. It's New
does a
York.
citizen's arrest, whatever,
And
shoots his
starts
partner,
shooting at them.
Right.
and he runs away. Cops find him. He sneaks into this room that just happens to be an audition, and they're like, "Okay, read." And the lines are, "Your partner's been shot. You left him, whatever." And it's kind of like he just sunk right. I mean, it was easy to
Right.
do, and then they're all
Method,
looking at each other like,
as they say.
"Wow, this is so he gets this like pseudo casting that you don't find out till later. So he goes to this party, and then he's totally like fish out of water. Just like people are walking up to him like, "Hey," he's like, I'm retired. I invented dice." Okay, we're done here. Like, all right, bye. But he doesn't care.
I
Like,
was
he's-
in a thing, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and he's
The
not
first
hurt by
actress
it.
is like, I do some acting, and it shows her in like a werewolf trashy B movie,
Right.
Yeah.
horror movie, and
And,
her head gets knocked off by a werewolf.
So
Yeah,
then,
it's
right. So then
fine.
you get
Yeah.
introduced to the detective Perry, who says like, "Hey, by the way, my boss is gonna want you to take detective lessons. So come shadow this
here.
op with me. We're just gonna watch somebody take some pictures, call it a day."
Mm.
So they do that, and then they uncover a body, and then the body ends up in Downey's room, and then he reconnects. So then this is where the two stories come out. So then he, his high school sweetheart or whatever, thinks she dies, and find out she doesn't die. And then now all of a sudden there's like,
Her
wait, so who
sister-
did die? And then
Yes.
there's like two names, and then the sister comes in, and then these two stories start to parallel each other. And now it's the three of them Scooby doing this mystery of who's this dead girl and where in the hell did she come from? And then it twists and turns and turns and twists. And then there's like the kooky henchmen and people getting shot. And then it all becomes unwound and then ties itself back together to the point where he is no longer an actor, and he now works for Val Kilmer's character as a detective. Yeah, but it's like I said, there's a heck of a journey to get there,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of like they could die, and no one is safe. Like he's narrating, so he doesn't die, but there's a couple of times you're like, I forgot he was narrating this and can't die.
Right.
Like you get that real suspense of like he might actually die here.
Yeah. Right.
So that's also what's good to me too is when like I said the movie is foreshadowed right in the first 20 minutes, the whole plot, and then when it uncovers itself and reveals itself, it's like, oh, this is quality work.
Yeah.
Like it may be a little crude, it may be a little rougher on the edges, but like the structure of the accomplishment is pretty solid.
And I will say, there's a moment where Robert Downey Jr. gets stuck in a random place, in a random apartment, and some people are talking. He ducks under a bed, and essentially a woman that's played a part goes, "Am I done? I don't want to be in this anymore." And he goes, "Yeah, don't worry, you're done."
Flat,
Couple
flat.
shots, and she falls down, and and they make eye contact as she's dying, and she tries to talk, and he's like, "Shut up, I'm under the bed, I'm hiding." And
Yeah.
he like covers her mouth as she dies, and he freaks out. And then he gets up off the bed. There's a gun still laying there. The guy who just murdered her that he's already had an interaction with comes back in.
Yep.
And the guy's like, "Oh, look at you, you're here. Well, look at you, big man." And he like grabs a gun. He's like, "Oh, well, now you've got a gun. Oh, look at you."
He shoots him.
and he shoots him. But like that moment of shooting a guy became very stripped down and was like, oh, he just shot this guy, and the guy was surprised, and it all felt like that little moment felt pretty great.
Mhm.
And where
Well,
you're
right,
like,
because it's got
he shot a guy because he needed to, and he wanted to, and it sucks.
but then he shoots him
It
like
worked.
2 or 3 more times. So
Yeah.
it has that.
because the guy was like shocked but not.
Yeah,
going
it has
down.
that great
Right.
pause where like it's kind of like the first time you do anything, there's all that dramatic buildup, and then it happens and you're like, all right,
Mhm.
And then you just
This is why I
there's
got my tongue ring. Oh.
yeah, there's this huge buildup, and then he shoots him, and then they both just stand there staring at each other like, wait a minute, you were supposed to put the gun down, and I'm not supposed to be shot right now.
Yeah.
And then he shoots
I
him like
had the power.
Yeah,
You shot
that's
me?
that's a
Oh,
great
you're gonna
little
keep
like
shooting me.
structure.
Yeah, the power
there.
dynamic, and also
Yeah.
it wasn't even a power dynamic because Robert Downey Jr. is just like, I have no power here, but I have the gun. So
Yeah,
you're
well, then he
dead.
gets a little angry, like, that he just shot that girl because he gets to hear part of their conversation,
Right.
and there's no reason she needed to die.
Right.
But yeah, I think at the
So-
time it would have been a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I
Right
was
now
gonna
it's probably a 4 out of 5 now because I mean maybe it would get a nom for maybe screenplay or some acting type stuff.
Yeah.
But winning probably not. You know,
Yeah.
but like definitely worthy of a nomination because it, like I said, the writing out a 3 parallel story murder mystery story is tough, and then a lot, and then including flashbacks, which is even harder, and then having it be coherent at the end. That's just really good stuff
Yeah,
because you've got 90
definitely.
minutes to accomplish that.
Mhm.
So to create that is really, really good.
Yeah.
Would I give him like best director? No, probably not. You know, that's like we've talked about how hard that is to determine that kind of stuff.
But I think 2005 version of this movie, it would have been one of those things where, it was like, wow, this is masterful. This is really great. And then you would have heard people like, but what about the gay stuff? And you'd be like, shut up. They're not making fun of gay people. And then flash forward to 2020, you're like, ugh, I don't like the gay stuff. It's like, it's like,
because
didn't really-
it is like I said, that becomes a plot point, which is the denouement of a big scene. Like it comes back, like they call it
Yeah.
out, they draw attention to it, and then it comes back
Right.
and it
He
serves
has
the purpose.
a payoff that
Yeah.
works.
Right.
Right.
And
Yeah.
but it's again, it's super homophobic.
Yeah. Right. So
Which is just like, ooh, a little bit.
as a time capsule, 4 out of 5.
Right. Screenshot.
Yeah.
For sure.
And did that? So what I'm thinking of right here is Val Kilmer's career. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like
Yeah.
he had his giant boom, which I think kind of crescented in what's the Island of Dr. Moreau. That remake was kind of like the end, right?
Yeah.
And then this happens. MacGruber happens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he moved into
it.
parody bad guy territory,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is like,
he disappeared though. Like,
well, he
you
also,
know,
I mean, he had the health stuff and
Yeah, he had a lot of
That
health
could-
stuff right around this
well,
time.
now he has health stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
He had a tracheotomy.
Oh,
He
Heat
has
though.
throat cancer.
What was Heat? 2000, or was it like
probably
98?
somewhere around there. Right around the turn.
Find out.
Yeah, maybe
99.
late 90s. That was like peak Val as well, right there. That was
But,
some
like
hot stuff.
he just fell off.
But I
as
think it
hard
was
as
the health stuff that is the reason why, the cancer and everything else. I think that's actually the reason why
But
he
the
started falling
cancer is
off.
Recent.
Oh no, I think he started having issues
Did he?
really, really early on. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like early 2000s.
Yeah, I'm
So-
trying to find.
I don't know. I tried listening to. I was telling Nick before we started. I was listening to his autobiography, and since he can't really talk that well anymore, he's got what's his name? He's got MacGruber
got
reading
Will
it.
Forte?
Yeah, Will Forte's reading it.
Will Forte's reading
His autobiography, but he's also got a woman reading it. So it's split between two
daughter?
people. No. And it just didn't work. It's just too incoherent. Like my brain couldn't wrap my head around switching
can't have a
between
man and a woman.
Will Forte and a girl reading his memoirs. I was just like, yeah, this isn't working for me, but thanks. Yeah. So well anyway, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. 4 out of 5. Time capsule. Watch it. Bear in mind what's happening is a bit out of date and such. So yeah. Well, folks, thanks for listening to Smoking Hot Nerds podcast. Episode 35, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. We're going to switch over to Nerds After Dark. Stick around. We're going to catch up on the events of the week. We're going to talk about all the things we've been watching, and it's going to be entertaining. We're going to talk about Eric's dating life a little bit more because it's more fun than this.
Right after he takes a giant leak.
Yeah, and then after you're done taking a leak, I'm going to take a giant dump.
Oh,
Yeah. Thanks for listening, folks. We will see you next week. Stick around if you're on the live stream. We're going to switch into Nerds After Dark right now. Brought to you by our sponsor, Zima. If you're
Your
looking
lights went
for
out.
I know, right? It's battery powered. So
Oh, I was gonna say I saw them flickering earlier.
Yeah.
I thought you were doing some cool like stuff.
nope.
Like and then it was like they're gone.
This episode is not sponsored by those cheap
Duracell
battery powered
or Energizer.
light strips. Yeah, I'm gonna when I go to the bathroom, I'll
It's sponsored
I'll
by
grab
Radio
some extra
Shack
ones.
brand batteries.
right. They're Zima brand batteries. But yeah, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Though movies that don't age well in terms of their look, like the style of, like the fashion of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
day,
yeah.
things like that. It's really interesting because as a script, start to finish, it's a really great movie, and there's a lot of movies like that. But because of the nomenclature, the political nature,
right,
the
right,
things
right,
like
right.
that, especially fashion, they just don't hold up. They have to, like, movies like in the late 90s, early 2000s, they're going to need like another 10 to 20 years before they're cool to watch again, before like that stuff is vintage enough for us to like watch it differently. Because I mean, like, look at all the like all the outfits that Michelle Monaghan is wearing is like all about like the bra like poking out of the tank top. And that was just
Yeah.
like such a thing in that era. And there's that terrible line. He said it was wetter than Drew Barrymore at a grunge concert. I was just like, ugh, no.
Yeah, there was definitely some very pointed, like very topically specific
Yeah.
type stuff. He's like, this is more boring than Dan Quayle and a potato. Like,
Yeah, you're
that
like,
one's
ugh.
not going to age well.
Yeah, no, thank you.
So there was stuff like that, right? That it doesn't. At the time was like, haha, but now it's like, wait, what?
Like, huh? Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of
Which,
that
right,
stuff.
you have to be super careful on that type of stuff. But still, it's, I mean, if you know it, it's funny. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of like one of those things too, where, like you could make an 1860s Western
Mhm.
at any time right now and
Mhm.
include any sort of phrasing or whatever, and it wouldn't be weird unless you were talking about cars or something.
Yeah.
You know, like that all because everyone's gonna understand what the old dusty road means and
Mhm.
you know, hitch into the post and like all that stuff. People are gonna get it, but and also time capsuling of like slavery, that
Right,
kind of
yeah.
fun stuff. So it's like,
Actual things.
yeah, so people would get it, but right, there is a period where even like if you watch Swingers,
Mhm.
which has ska bands like we were talking about earlier, where that's a very like, people didn't really do this. Like, no, there were swing clubs, but they weren't
Right.
for swingers. They were a different kind of swinger.
Mhm.
And yes, there were bands with 9 trumpets in it. That was a thing. It was a thing
Yeah.
that happened. Not that
Swingers
it
is
was
a
bad,
great
it was-
example of that, though, of a time
Oh,
capsule
yeah.
movie that has aged well, but is also
Well, he uses a
super
phone
time
book.
capsule. Yeah,
Which
He
way we
uses
talking
a
about?
it's
phone-
super honest.
Swingers.
Swingers.
We're talking about how
What?
there are movies that because of the time that they were made are like a crazy time capsule that are going to take like 20 years of age in order to be able to watch without having a grumble. So
Yeah.
like this one with all the homophobic stuff is like, it's probably like another 5 to 10 away from being just I can watch this
Mhm.
not angry at
Yeah.
the phrasing.
But
Or like
see-
any time in the
Judging it.
80s,
Yeah.
like in the 80s type movies when they talk about homophobic stuff, or you're like, all right, that's fine. It's not that it's fine,
Yeah.
but you're like, I expect that. It was
Mhm.
the 80s and we've moved on from that, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, what next? Are we going to impeach George Washington?
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, Swingers is a
random
great.
there.
See, Swingers though is like right on that perfect line where
Yeah.
the reason that it's aged well / we accept it for the era is because it was right before cell phones. So no one's got a cell phone in the movie. He's using phone books. He's using landlines. He's got an answering machine. Like they have to. He uses a calling card to call back to
Yep.
LA from Vegas. So there's things that are like super
literal time
super
capsule, yeah.
actual in the era. So you
Happens.
Yeah, so you forgive it for like the 50s callbacks, and you forgive it for the ska and all that kind of stuff because of the fact that it's right
got
there.
Ska? Oh, I'm really never watching this movie.
It was Big Bad Voodoo Daddies are the band.
Oh,
in
yeah.
it. Like a live live swing dancing. Like it's a
What
real
was that big song?
real Zoot Suit Riot. Yeah, and it's in it. It's
No,
in
that
this-
was that. I thought that was Brian Setzer.
No, it's Big Bad Voodoo Daddies, I think. Either way, it's garbage.
Either
but-
way,
Either
the whole
way.
ska resurgence came off of one song.
Yeah.
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which one? That one? Is that what did it?
Zoot Suit Riot.
Riot.
I mean, there's maybe a couple others, but like that.
Yeah.
Was
Well,
it,
there was
really.
that, and then you got into like the real big fish, which was like ska, like punk ska,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Well, and wait for it. I was really into Christian ska in college. So, yeah, I know. It was great. So, I went to a Christian ska concert. Wait for it. So, there's this band called Five Iron Frenzy and this band called The Insiders. And Five Iron Frenzy is actually from Colorado. So, I was like, oh, cool. And I'm in Minnesota. And so, I go to the ska concert. So, they do all their ska songs. And then Five Iron Frenzy does their ska songs. But then,
and then a prayer circle.
no, it's a worship service after the concert. So then they both join each other, and then they play like worship
Hymns?
music. Yeah, basically like ska versions of them though. And everyone sits there and sings, and then they have an
Zoot
altar call.
Suit Jesus.
Jesus. Yeah, exactly.
Turn that water to wine.
Oh man, roll that stone away. It was kind of like that, honestly. It was probably
I'm sure it was.
yeah. I'm sure.
I'm trying to make a quick buck.
I wonder if that music was literally like that had to be a lyric in one of the songs.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But see, I thought Five Iron Frenzy was really cool because they all wore Star Trek uniforms in their concert, in this
How was
particular
it?
concert.
Was it spelled like the golf club,
Yeah.
or was it?
Like Five Iron Frenzy? Yeah, like I had a Five Iron and I started like going crazy with it. That's what it was all about.
Christian ska band?
Yeah.
Five
I
Iron
went
Frenzy.
crazy at the Pentecost.
Yeah, yeah. So there it was. He's got loaves and fishes to eat. Yeah, it was interesting, but it was quite an era, that ska era, and I was wearing Airwalks. I bought
yeah.
a new pair
I
of
had
Airwalks to wear to the thing. Yeah,
Wow, what a great.
I really wanted to be a skater who didn't skate for a real brief period of time.
I just was talking tonight to my roommate who was talking about skating and how I was like, so I have like an ex-girlfriend out here who her friend was into skaters. And this was like, let's call it 6 years ago. And I was like, still?
Yeah.
Skaters still?
That's a skater.
Does that? Oh,
yeah.
that's the old thing? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It
And the
recycles
guy
itself.
that she was into at that moment, he was a skater, I guess. I don't know.
Hmm.
But he also had like the little miniature motorcycle.
How
And
small?
he literally, there's one time where my ex-girlfriend's friend was in her car driving after her boyfriend
Who was getting
driving
get away on the mini bike?
miniature mini bike that could only go like 20 miles an hour on like Sturo Drive or Memorial
The
Drive.
little
out here.
ninja. Yeah.
Are you allowed to drive? Can you drive in the bike lane on those? How does that work?
I'm sure it was like a Vespa, where
Yeah.
it's like no one knew what the hell to do with it legally.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Like one of those little bird scooters. Those are called birds. Or
Oh, the little like lift, the little green.
yeah,
scooter
little green
things.
scooters. Yeah,
So one's a pop up everywhere now.
yeah. Are they even a thing? I mean, did those companies die
I don't.
I'm
during
sure they
COVID?
did.
They
I
do
think
okay.
they're fine.
How do you
Mini
sanitize them?
motorcycle?
No. They're
like
so
razor
imagine
scooters.
A razor
Yeah,
scooter
those
with an
razor
engine.
scooters I think are still
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. In major cities.
Yeah.
Not
There was a
in,
good South Park Halloween episode, like maybe 3-4 years ago. It's probably 7 years ago at this point.
Right.
But anyways, where it's just like it's a horror movie where it's like the scooters just show up and then more of them show up and more and they're just
Yeah.
everywhere. And no one
Right.
knows where they came from.
Yeah. Well, they got really popular after I moved to small town Colorado. So my first So I saw friends posting about them. They're just
Oh,
like,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
littering and they're terrible. And I'm just like, what? How bad could it be? And then I made my first trip back to LA and I was like, this is legitimate trash on the streets. They're
Like,
just
you're trying
everywhere.
for progress, and this was the wrong move.
Yeah, they're like everywhere. Yeah, especially like in Denver, like super hipster cities like Denver, like, they're just everywhere. It was crazy.
I get it, but too, it's just like anyone who's on those, they're just walking. Like, just walk, right?
Yeah.
Like, how
Yeah,
much
they're a touch
further
faster,
is your
yeah.
radius?
I think they go like
Then
10
just
miles
walk.
an hour, you know. So,
Yeah. Like, trust me, I see guys on those little, like, it's like the skateboard with a big wheel.
yeah, the one wheel.
And they just fly. Right?
Yeah.
And they're just like, bam. And I so badly just want to throw something in front of them, where they just crash.
Yeah.
And I just laugh my way to work, right?
One
but
wheels
yeah,
are
those-
big YouTuber things. Everybody in YouTube,
Yeah.
like they all ride one wheels. So annoying.
What's the what was the thing? It's already died. The fad. It's based off of hoverboard.
The hoverboard.
Yeah.
The things that would self-ignite
Oh yeah,
Right. They start on fire. Whatever.
with their lithium batteries that were never designed to move around a 200-pound fat ass. Yeah.
Right. Well, those things are great. So it's like, again, an ex I had. It's like Christmas. I'm at her family's house.
Oh no.
Her younger sibling gets one. The dad gets the youngest or the middle kid one of these things. And I know, I look at it sober and I go, I should get on that. I have like 5 drinks in me and I go, I'm ready.
I'm getting on this.
I'm
and
ready.
I'm perfect on it. I'm like, yep, I'm the right amount of loose. I'm not trashed. And I roll all over the place. I'm making jokes. I'm going, it's perfect. And then the dad like sees me and goes, oh yeah, it's my turn. And he gets on. And he eats shit, by the way.
You were a bad example.
The old tailbone breaker.
Yeah.
I was like, I know. Yeah. Oops.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't think hoverboards ever. That's the one good part about commercial branding in some films. Is I don't think hoverboards ever made it into a movie.
Not one that I've seen.
Right. Which
Yeah,
I'm sure
it's
people are
true.
like,
They didn't have their Back to the Future moment. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think. I mean, because I've seen Segways. Segways have made it into movies, like Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Comedically only.
That's true.
Exclusively
Yeah.
comedically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting what doesn't make it into like the cinematic time capsule, if you will. That like, is there any
They
late
really should have
2010s with hoverboards in it?
Yeah.
No.
They should have made it like whatever garbage 1999, 2000 crap that we thought was cool.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to go with.
That'll happen eventually.
It'll be one of those things that like it'll be
We
like
will make that movie.
Yeah.
it'll be
With hoverboard.
2050, and they're gonna be making a movie about 2005, and they're gonna see someone's gonna do the wrong research and see that hoverboards were a big thing, and it's just gonna everyone's gonna be on hoverboards,
I want to make
and
like
then we're gonna be watching it going,
Wait, what? Those
"How
weren't cool.
is this?" Nobody did
rollerball or
this.
what's the like over the top rollerblading
Yeah,
violent
rollerball, you
sport?
got it.
Yeah,
With
rollerball.
Chris Pine and LL Cool J.
Yeah, that was the remake. It was
Or
like
not Chris Pine, Chris
Conn, James Conn was the original maybe.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, like late 70s maybe. But
What
yeah,
was his
we
name?
should make one with those stupid things
Hoverboards.
that I
With
was talking
hoverboard.
about.
Call it hoverball. Sounds good to me. All right, I'm gonna step away for a moment. I'll be back in a few moments.
Oh.
You guys continue.
You sit up.
Time
TikTok.
and yeah.
TikTok. TikTok.
I would talk about other
TikTok.
other date interactions, but
No, please do.
please do. Yeah, I'll swipe real quick.
Do you have any updates on your the stage/film stuff that you did, the orcs and
Oh, well that so it aired way back when. And I don't know, that's become just like public where you can just
oh, it's
post
still
it
private?
wherever. The tough thing is it's not a very good play.
Oh, well, that happens.
It's fine. It's a fine play if you're like a 12-year-old girl who's trying to figure herself out. I think it's great. Like
That is
that's I
not
think,
that is not the demographic I thought you were gonna say.
but that's what that's the demographic that this play's going for.
Wow.
Really, I think at its heart, genuinely. And so yeah, it's like it's a long slog. And the problem I think with the playwright is the playwright wasn't very good at spacing things out, where it's just
Okay.
like a whole lot of intimate little moments and then action, 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 all on top of each other, which makes like for the theatrical production a nightmare. Where it's
Yeah.
like there's no monsters for 30 minutes, and then there needs to be every actor has to like quick change 3 times within 10 minutes
Oh wow. Okay.
for all this action, and then it goes back to very intimate moments for like another 40 minutes, and you're like, this needed to be broken up better.
Huh.
Like just as a piece of theater, it isn't it isn't spaced very well at all. Yeah.
That's wild.
And again, I think it's like I say, I think it's important if you're 12. Otherwise, it kind of feels like this is just a long slog of something that's trying to sound important, but
Or it's like the when you watch a movie that or something that's got like a big message on it, and you're like, I'm beyond this
yeah, it's
message.
like
I
we
don't need to
got
be
it
told this. Yeah.
5 seconds in, and you're still
Yeah.
trying to hammer it home, and now you're putting an exclamation point on it. I get it. Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
That's too bad.
Um, it's
They still want
fine.
to
It's
see it though
cute.
because of the work.
The
Uh-oh.
work literally gets featured like well, and here's the other thing, and it's no blame on anyone involved in the production
Yeah.
because it's a theater piece that got turned into a filmed
Right. Right. Right.
adaptation, which out of the blue, all of a sudden there's a pandemic, there's a shutdown. They try to what can we do so the actors and designers can feel like their work wasn't wasted? We'll
Yeah. Can
film it,
recoup. Yeah.
And but all of a sudden it's changing genres, and it's theater people all of a sudden trying to
Act.
make a film,
Film actors. Yeah.
and it's just it's fine.
Yeah.
It's whatever. Some people watched it, but yeah, at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't want to say this, but I feel like as a person who's worked in theater, I feel like when you work in theater, you build an elaborate tree in the middle of the woods and it falls down and you feel like nobody was there to see it fall. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of how I
The
feel
most
theater
majestic
is.
redwood ever,
It
and
was a
it
gorgeous
just
redwood
died.
and it fell and nobody gave a shit. And you go, and then you see some garbage movie that 10 trillion people see and you go,
Yeah.
that's where all the eyes are.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, changing lanes for a second. So, was it
please
yesterday?
do.
Yeah, yesterday I was running and I got to we were talking about um the departure of the 45th president and what our anticipation was, and you nailed it. And I was impressed. I was crazy impressed. Your prediction was that he was going to wait until the last day before inauguration and then get on Marine One and helicopter out.
Right.
And you nailed it. That's exactly what
Instead
happened.
of shaking hands, what was he going to do? He was going to be a bitch and run away. Yeah.
Yeah, and you nailed it. And I was running, and I'm like, holy crap, he got that. Like he pegged it.
Yeah. I'm pretty good at pegging Trump.
Take that as you will.
Yeah, because I as unpredictable as he is, he's still incredibly predictable.
Yeah.
Like he,
Well, then you
just the
also, this is great too. You were talking about how he's going to form a news corporation, and then I don't know if you saw it, but there was an announcement of the what it's the
Patriot
office
Party.
no, it's the office for the public information of President Donald Trump, where he like set up an office where like all the mail and all this stuff is going to go into this office.
Like Santa Claus.
Yeah, yeah. And then
This
they're going to
is my
handle
North Pole.
they're going to handle
Send
all his
all your
media. They're
letters.
going to
I'm
handle
here
all
in
of
the
his stuff. And you nailed that too. And I was like, wow, that's amazing that you you caught that.
Yeah, he's very simple in his like sadness, you know, in like his baggage
Yeah,
is, you know, like as a person who needs to be filled with attention and
right.
love, and you know that all that attention and love just like falls through the hoop and just gets dumped on the floor,
Yeah,
and he can't catch it, and he can't feel it and experience it, and it's sad, and it was also terrifying when he was the commander in chief.
yeah,
But the one thing I was always heartened about was that he's a giant pussy,
yeah,
and I always knew he would never really pull the trigger. Everyone freaked out about him like blowing off nukes and shit. It was like,
yeah.
no,
No,
this guy's
yeah,
a giant. He's talk. He's very strong when it comes to talk, but otherwise, he's the biggest fucking pussy you've ever met. Sorry,
hey,
Oh.
bang bang.
F-bombs for y'all.
but that's what it is.
No, yeah,
And
absolutely.
everyone that's like enamored by him kind of knows it deep down, and they go, I can't go back from here. I've gone too far. And that's where everyone is. They're like, I went QAnon level and I can't. What do I do? I'm totally stuck. This guy's a giant pussy and it's all a farce and I'm trapped. And Republican politicians are kowtowing to them. And you're like, oh, God. You guys can't step up in this moment? Okay. Here we are.
Yeah, no, right. Nobody
Tear
can, like,
yourselves apart.
no one can take the reins. And
Let's all watch you tear yourselves apart.
so
Well,
it's
Now
funny
that the
because
federal government is going, maybe you're now terrorists. They're going,
whoops.
Because everyone's
Yeah.
been in a relationship where you're having a fight and there's a point and in the fight in which you realize that you were wrong, but you've fought so hard for the last
too deep.
45
Can't dig
minutes
out.
that you can't go back, you can't turn around, and that's where everyone's at, where they're just
Donald
like,
Trump took
ugh.
these people by the hand 5 years ago and pulled them into a mine shaft. And now they're like in the mines of Moria.
well, I like living in a mine. That's kind of
And
where
they're
it's
going,
like, yeah, the mines of
there's
Moria.
no way.
I have no memory
Friggin'
of this
Lord of the
place.
Rings.
That's a Lord of the Rings joke, Brian.
Yeah, Brian, wherever you are, editing some hot show.
Yeah, right.
I'm
Yeah,
busy.
Good for
blah,
you.
Blah, blah.
being important. We're important too. We just don't have anything to do right now.
What are cool
Yeah.
things to talk about?
What else were you talking about besides Donald Trump?
No, I asked
that
him
it?
about the stage play stuff, and then I was telling him that I was listening to our old
D&D.
stuff running and how he predicted DT's exit from the White House,
Oh,
and
yeah.
how he wouldn't shake hands and get on the helicopter and then form some news organization and get his message out, and how he literally didn't shake his hand, got on Marine One, went to Palm Springs or whatever, and then there was a new foundation of the media office of former President Donald Trump or something like that. There's a very unofficial state seal type thing that's basically handling all his mail and media and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah. And then it's just so good. There's a thing on Stephen Colbert. It was either today or yesterday, which is hilarious. But Mike Pence is homeless. That he didn't have the forethought to secure housing after the election. So
He didn't have a house already?
Well, he was
just
the
Because
governor. No, because he was the governor.
or governor's house.
He was the governor of Indiana,
Oh, that's
and
right.
then he went to the
vice
White House,
president's house.
and then in those 4 years, he never was
never
like,
really-
maybe I'll get myself a little retirement property. No,
Right.
he's apparently going couch to couch in the state. Now,
Come on.
granted, these are probably $20,000
couches.
couches.
Really nice as couches, yeah.
But
He's not doing
that's
badly.
essentially what is
What about
happening.
his wife? Is he not married? I mean, he's got like a
Oh, he's married.
Well, he
Yeah.
has a beard.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I
I'm sure he
kind
could
of
always
thought
call
that.
mother.
Mike, yeah, he calls her mother. Mike, we all pray for you. We all pray that you can just be yourself.
I
whenever the hell
remember
that
though. Was it no? Who was John Kerry's running mate? Who was having
Flip
the?
Wilson.
Flip-
I don't remember. Who was his running mate?
Not John Kerry. No, that's his
It
name.
was Edwards.
John Edwards.
Oh, that's right,
It
Jonathan.
was the guy who had the wife that died, and he had an affair on her.
Yeah, he had an
Oh, that was
affair
unfortunate
while,
timing.
but that was the thing too. You're almost like John Edwards caught having an affair, and you're kind of like, well, what's his name? You're almost like, yeah, I'm sure he's doing that. The hair was not. Well, you're not selling it to
He
any of
looked
us.
pretty put
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. Then there was Dan Quayle. Okay, but who was Verbinski? Gore Verbinski.
Is that real?
No, Gore Verbinski is a real person, isn't
Yeah, I
it?
was like, no,
Yeah.
it wasn't his running mate.
What was his running
I'm
mate?
looking it up. I'm looking it up.
Gore Verbinski, isn't that? Like,
That's an actual person. That's one person.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just thinking about the bumper sticker, and I can't think about what the
It was
bumper sticker.
Joe Lieberman
Oh, that's right.
Lieberman.
The Liebs.
of Joe Lieberman, the senator from Connecticut.
That was part of the reason why it was a bad idea, because it was like that. They were like, yeah, he's really old, and
Oldest, craggiest.
Yeah.
And-
Like,
yeah,
I'm a liberal. Yeah.
Gore Lieberman. That's right.
Pre Bernie Sanders.
Hmm.
So I didn't realize, and I haven't looked into it, but that when Gore lost that election, like Clinton and him had a falling out where Clinton was like, "How did you blow this?"
Oh, I'm
In the
sure.
In the oral. in
The
the
Oral Office. There we go. Yeah.
They met up on Bumble. They met at the
Got
oral
it.
office.
Boom.
Clinton had just gotten his tongue pierced.
What was the? There's an old Conan bit with God, Robert Smigel playing Clinton. He's like, I'm gonna restore the Lincoln bedroom to its premium status as a primo bone zone.
Oh, solid Conan. I watched, this is months ago, but I got way down the Conan rabbit hole between him and the videos of him and his producer, Jordan Schlansky.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
the Jordan
my
Schlansky stuff's
goodness,
great.
that's some amazing stuff. The trip to Italy is
Yep.
the best. They go to Italy together and they do a wine tasting. The wine tasting video is I've watched it like 10 times. It cracks me up, man.
Right. So it's like they go to some expert in whatever field,
Mhm.
right? Coffee, espresso, whatever it is. And Jordan Slansky,
It's a
for
character,
the next 20
FYI.
minutes,
Yeah.
kind of playing a character, but also kind of probably being himself to
Kind
some
of
extent.
not, yeah.
Right. It's not too
corrects
far.
The professional
Right.
and says, no, actually, it's this. And it's just, and there's Conan making fun of that.
Right. Those, and that's the thing, those and some of those older ones are definitely a bit, but later on, they just go places and they've got such good rapport that they're just hilarious together and they're like legitimately making fun of each other together. Because they went to Lucasfilm one time, and so they had the guys saying something like, this is actually the original Darth Vader costume from A New Hope. And then George Lansky's like, actually, and he goes off on why it's not. And then the guy's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're right.
These
it's not.
light boxes on the belt are totally wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
This script that's on it,
Yeah.
the wrong script. Yeah.
But it's pretty funny. But then there's also scenes where they're in his office, and I think, what did Jordan get? He got one of those crazy expensive Darth Vader helmets, replicas that are like legit replicas, and so they're like $5,000 or whatever. And yeah, he gets it delivered, and so he makes Conan put on white gloves, and they inspect it, and it's because he's giving a review on it. It's like Jordan Schlansky reviews whatever.
Like an unboxing.
Yeah,
kind of review,
yeah. And he just drones on and on and on. It's great. It's a great little relationship those two have. I love it.
Well, there's one where Harrison Ford is on, and
Oh, yeah.
who knows whose it is, but there's a giant, a Millennium Falcon Lego, the earlier version. And he brings it out, and he's like, "Could you sign this for me?" And Harrison Ford goes, "All right, give me your goddamn thing." And he goes, "Ah!" And he pretends like he trips, and and it shatters into 1,000 pieces. Kona laughs, and right. And so whoever put that thing together, it's all destroyed
it's gone now.
by the hands of Han Solo.
Speaking of,
at least it was a Lego. So
Right.
you can put that back
You can put it
together.
back together.
It was like the plastic model. That's
mm,
that's a little
But
bit.
either way, it's been captured
Oh, for sure.
film. It's
Yeah,
on
it's super good.
TV history, so it's fine.
that X-wing that you just put together, Nico, is that the new one?
No,
That's
no,
out.
no. It's
That's the
from
old one.
from like '97.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
crazy. Because the new
That's
one,
when
they've
they
got like
had-
3 of them at Walmart here in Fort Morgan.
The new Skywalker one. Yeah,
Mhm.
mine's on back order.
Let me get you one. I can't. They got Poe Damerons too.
I have that one.
Yeah,
I
it's
have both
weird.
of Poe's. I
Star
have his
Wars-
blue one. I have his orange one and his black one.
Yeah, this one's the orange one. This Walmart here, I'm only there like maybe once every couple weeks, like super random. But every
Yeah.
time I'll go swing by the toy aisle and see what's there, and yeah, they just get the randomest. Like the shelves are empty, like empty in the toy areas, and so you'll walk in, and then just one day it's like, yeah, they've got like 3 X-wing for like $80, and like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
those are there
Well,
now.
they had the new dot art stuff that they're doing. Like they had the Sith ones where you could do the Vader.
Oh,
I think I
yeah.
showed you guys.
Mhm.
Yeah, those online were sold out in like an hour. And then just randomly, I was walking through the Target over here. There's like 15 of them on the shelf.
yeah.
I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
I know
I'll
these
buy
things. Yeah.
all of them and sell them
Right.
for exorbitant prices. Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? Yeah, no, that one was. I'm gonna have to be careful with this story. So there's 2 types of collectors, right? We can agree that there are 2 types of collectors. The first one is like me. I'm a volumetric collector. Like I have
you
a
want the collection.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Get it.
I have the volumetric collection. Then there are people that are looking for the specific and especially very old / retired type collection where
Mm-hmm.
like I have the first one that came out in 1985 kind of thing. It's like, yeah, well, I have 12 of those. So it's so I was meeting with somebody and we were talking about because you can see behind me my Legos and or Lego, and somebody asked me like, do you have this one? And I was like, I do. Do you want to see it? They're like, yeah. So I brought it over. I think I've done this on the podcast as well. I show them whatever. And I was with that person in person and they're like, hey, have you seen this guy's Lego stuff? You guys would have lots to talk about. Like, okay. So we went over there and we're looking and he had that super old Falcon, but then he also had the collector's edition, the ultimate collectors of Luke's X-Wing. And I was like, that is awesome. Like it's super detailed. It was a really fun build. It's really great.
So what makes
And-
it different though than like the new
It's
version?
like 4 times the size.
Oh,
Yeah. In a second, I'll grab 2
Yeah.
of them side by side here in a
Yeah, it's
minute.
probably like what, this big?
Yeah, it's like its wingspan is like out to here, and then it's like this long. It's big.
Mhm.
Like I said, I'll grab the standard box one, and then I'll grab this one here in a second. So he, huh? What?
I don't know.
I said, I've seen bigger.
Well, yeah, that happens too. So we were just talking about it, and I was like, oh man, I've got like the collector's Falcon, I've got the snow speeder, I have an A-wing. But Luke's X-wing that would be kind of like a choice, sweet little one to get. So I looked online, looked on eBay, and I was like, wow, that's expensive.
Like where are we at on it? Like $400, $500?
Well, the ones I was looking at were like $800. And I was like, that's like, listen,
right.
my
Way
pride
too
does
much.
not, my pride has a limit, and that's it.
Yeah.
800 is out of my pride
Creep on
range.
the grand. yeah.
Above 5, 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's
So then I was looking around, just kind of keeping an eye on it. And then randomly was like, let me just take a peek at that again. Because I also have a tradition on Sundays when I watch the Chiefs, I put together a Star Wars themed Lego, and that's why we're undefeated. No, I'm just kidding. But I was out of my Star Wars Legos. So I'm like, I think that's what caused me like, well, let me just take a peek and see it. And then I found one on eBay for well under $400 that was like new inbox, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Had never been opened, all that fun stuff. I was like, this is a person who bought it thinking they were going to sell it for $1,000,
right.
and it's finally just like, get this out of my house.
Right.
Dump it.
So I caught them on the dump when they're just like,
Nice.
so it's mine now, and I put it
I
together.
like to catch people on the dump.
Yeah. So I put it together, and I was talking about it with my boss, and and
This person.
we were just chit chatting about it, and then we had that other person on the phone, and I was like, "Oh, hey, I got the whatever." He's like, "Well, do you have the serial number?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's this one." He's like, "Oh, that was the second edition."
Ah.
And it's funny too, because I was on video, and I reached into my desk, and I was like, "Okay, let's get the old ruler out." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Come
Right.
on, man." So that's why I
Stop.
said there's two types of collectors. There's a volumetric collector, then there's like the first one out of the box collector. And
Yeah.
I'm not the first one out of the box.
Yeah.
Then I did happen to look up the one that he was talking about, and yeah, it's like $850,
Yeah.
and it's like 200 less pieces, and it's $850. Like,
But also, what condition is his in? He took it out of the box and
his has been assembled for a bit, and it's dusty and all that kind of fun stuff.
yeah, so it's $300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Right.
Do you dust all your toys off?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like with just like a can there? Or what do you
No,
use?
because you blow pieces off.
Oh, that's a
I
good point.
use the
Really?
little Swiffer hand
Yeah.
duster bobbies. Yeah.
Nice. I might have to get one of those. Because I'm starting
Not
to get
not a sponsor, but I'll hold up. So
You
yeah,
can't
got the
see
little-
it, but I've got my Moff Gideon Black series right there.
Oh.
Oh, right on.
Where is he? He's right here. My first ever
I
Black
don't see
series
his head.
toy.
Where's his head?
It's on his neck. Yeah, he's got the
dark
got
saber.
the dark
You
saber.
got all of. Well, you have a lot of them coming.
I did.
ordered
I
that myself.
okay. So
You
I
got a
put
little
myself.
excited?
I'm officially on a like. I got to be responsible here, and this is dumb because I don't need toys. This is like the first toys I bought
Your
in.
virginity's growing
Yeah,
back.
exactly. First like toys I bought in 20 years were right after you bought these Funkos for us, Nico. And so then I bought a couple Funkos. Okay, cool. And then I got a couple things like, well, I bought this X-wing for photos and then I bought this short trooper for photos. So I'm always using it as an excuse to take pictures, right?
It's a
Oh, of
business
course.
To
expense,
practice my
right?
art.
Write it
That's
off.
why I
Yeah.
got so many toys over here. We're like, no, it's for my film.
For business, yeah, exactly,
for
for your
art.
movie. So, but then Zach, my brother, told me about Entertainment Earth, and he goes, "That's where you can kind of get the pre-orders on like a lot of the Black Series stuff that's coming out." And so I popped on there, and they were still doing pre-orders for the Bo-Katan Black Series from The Mandalorian, the Ahsoka Tano from Rebels, and then a Mandalorian in the Beskar, which is coming out, and then the reissue of the Child. So I got, because I think with him that's a nice little series of toys.
You got your scene.
And I'm done now. I promised myself I'm done now.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
Uh-huh. I still kind of want the Ghostbusters ones, but I'm also like, nope. Just get these, because Zach has Venkman and Stance, I think, and they're really cool. Like really, really cool. They're really detailed.
I saw those.
Yeah.
Are they 6-inch?
They're this size, whatever
Yeah,
this size
they're-
is.
I think that's 6-inch.
Let me
Is
check.
that
Hang
male
on a
inches
second.
or lady inches?
I only know
Hang on.
12-inch.
It's about 6 inches.
I only know hot toys.
No.
That's the only way
I
can
was
measure.
measuring my tongue length.
Oh,
That's what I was doing.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to tag the tongue ring thing, but it didn't work at all.
That backfired.
Let me
Yeah.
offer you my services of inappropriate content.
Yeah, I know, right? Aye. See
what
what you
you
did
just
to
did
me,
there.
Moff
Second, I
Gideon?
put 6 inches down my throat. All of a sudden,
That's not what I was doing. But he doesn't stand up though. It's very, very annoying.
Does he have like a little like stool?
I can't get him to stand up. No, I don't know how.
isn't he standing on his cape?
Nope. I don't know how to get him to stand up. It's very, very,
Is his
very
cape
annoying.
squishy or firm?
And I thought it might just be how I'm articulating his cankles, but it's just not working at all.
Yeah,
It looks
rotate
like
the
a-
hips.
It doesn't look like a cloth cape.
No, it's
Like a
plastic.
Vinyl plastic.
So
Yeah.
is it a part of you have to like rest him on the cape?
I don't know.
Like put him in
No,
like a little squat?
I don't know, man.
Squat.
No, because the cape's not even long enough, so it's very annoying. Although there's a lot of articulation
Supposed
I
to be
haven't
in a
quite.
dramatic stance. Like,
That's the
wide.
thing. Like after he got out of the X-wing, after it crashes, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I'll just find a YouTube video on how to make Moff Gideon stand.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it's a cool toy. So
Right on.
yeah,
Well, there you go.
I don't think just too many toys. But I'm kind
I
of
was
excited
gonna-
about the Bo-Katan because it looks just like Katie Sackhoff. Looks pretty good. Yeah, pretty detailed.
Nice.
I was going to announce that I wanted to have a screening for my first part of my Star Wars thing, my big project, on July 4th. But then I go, oh, it's still a pandemic, and I don't know that I can film it with enough people early enough to do the other things.
Yeah.
So while I want to force myself to have that deadline,
Mhm.
I go,
There's
I
some
don't think I
logistics that aren't in your
can.
control.
I
Yeah.
literally, for the safety of certain people that are of a certain age that would help, I don't think I can.
We're doing a COVID safe Super Bowl commercial on Sunday, so
Yeah,
make it work.
Sunday.
Just make all
That's-
your people wear masks.
is
and
like-
distance themselves.
That's late. That feels late.
It's
You're gonna be hitting the gas,
It's way
man.
too
Are we not doing next week?
It's
Because
way
I
too late.
guarantee you're gonna be working.
You
oh no
can't do
no!
next
I have
week.
to. We're shooting it on Sunday the
you just
31st.
shooting?
I
Are
have
you
to have
editing?
it turned around and submitted by 5 p.m. on the 1st. Yeah, I know.
You're editing it as well.
Yeah, that's why I'm
Thought
showing
you were
up.
Maybe just a hired gun to shoot it.
No. I'm doing the whole thing. I wrote it. I'm directing it. I'm shooting it, and then I'm going to
Wow.
edit it. So
That's awesome, but oh
yeah,
God,
but the
I-
Are
turnaround.
you doing like pre-work right now, like storyboards and thinking
It's
about?
well,
like,
see, that's why I'm
edits
showing
and-
up at. We're showing up at the venue at 8:00, and we're not. Picture's not up till 1 p.m. So I'm gonna spend that entire time with Zach and the two other guys who are crewing it with me, just setting up all the shots. So then
Yeah.
that way, when cast rolls in, we hop on. And it's just like 1A, 1B, ba-bum, 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 and we're out. So because I have to shoot it in 5 hours too, because we only have Vanilla Ice for 5 hours. So yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tickety tight. But this is my specialty, man. This is what I do. Last minute,
hit the gas.
quick turnaround, fast shooting time. Like this is what all of the work I've been doing up to this point has all
Yeah.
been like this. So
led you
I'm
to
ready. I'm
this
prepared.
ability.
Yeah. It's
That's
ready
awesome.
for Drumstick Man 2. Yeah, let's go.
Do
Let's
it.
go. Let's go. So that's what I'm saying. Like you can figure it out, Eric. Do your COVID safe shoots and stuff like that. It'll
Oh,
be
for
fine.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's space. Everyone's wearing masks of some form.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only me in a cockpit. I just need to have specialty lights and little bit of shit. Some
You say
spinning
cockpit.
clouds in the background. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
from Captain Marvel. Terrible joke.
The
What-
cockpit
what was
joke.
the joke?
Yeah.
That's in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. That's terrible.
Yeah. The line is something to the effect of, "They don't call it a cockpit for nothing."
Ugh. Did Shane Black write Captain Marvel?
The
That's
female
it's,
Shane
it's
Black
one of the
wrote it.
most
Yeah.
cringy moments in that movie where you're just like, "Oh, come on."
It's like a whole movie of trying too hard, and you're just like, you don't have to, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I
Yeah.
love Brie Larson. Why is it
Oh.
bad?
No, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Mm.
It's the timing's weird
Mm-hmm.
because it's like it takes place in the 70s,
No, it's
80s.
90s.
Is it 90s?
It's 90s.
Oh yeah, that's right, because of the music stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
it's got Nirvana and Pearl Jam or
Yeah. Yeah, it fits in,
It's
but
got
her
some
her
fun-
character is out of the MCU. Like she takes place obviously in Infinity War and that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. Like she needs to be there. So this is the introduction to her. But then
Yeah.
her character is basically like, "I'm amazing, but you're not the only planet in the universe."
Yeah. Well, she has that whole
So,
line in
deuces.
Endgame,
See-
isn't it? Is it Endgame?
Yeah,
She has that
it's
line.
fine.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like you're just one planet. Yeah.
She's
the
like, this
whole
is all happening.
galaxy is
Yeah.
falling apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, which that is fine. Ah,
It makes for a hard standalone movie though.
what do I say about
Mhm.
that movie? There's some fun in it. I think. So I think the biggest problem with that movie is it's her character, where it's like she has amnesia, and so it's like she's supposed to be one thing, and then she realizes she's someone else.
It's
and
like
at
the Bourne
end of the
Identity.
day, she's kind of supposed to split the middle.
Yeah.
I think is kind of what's supposed to happen, and it's like they biff kind of both sides of who she is and who she was, and so when she comes together, it doesn't work, and you're like, that
Yeah,
didn't
it's
work.
like the
She-
a bad Total Recall type thing.
Yeah.
it's like she needs to be. They need to reboot her character. She's kind of like in a early Thor. Spot.
Oh yeah, they need
Where
a
it's like
Ragnarok to
they
really make it
haven't
work.
figured out what the hell to do with her.
Yeah.
And granted, they filmed the Infinity War and all that shit first, and
Yeah.
then they shot her movie. So I think that didn't help.
Right.
And I think the people that wrote and directed Captain Marvel just didn't maybe have it. You know, they hoped they did, and I just don't think they. Quite
Well, yeah,
did.
too much was already going on in the universe for them to have like the Ant-Man effect, where it's like, I'm
Yeah.
not sure who this is,
Just some
but you
little,
can
like,
work
JoJo
this into the
story.
system because not enough is happening ancillary to it. I'm fine. Too much was already happening for to have this like arbitrary introduction of like.
Well, so why did Ragnarok work so well? Because that
Because
was
Taika
almost not even
Waititi-
in the same realm.
Well, Thor needed a reboot.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Hemsworth wanted the reboot. He's the one that was like, "We need to change this up. I can be funny. This character's not working as is."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Taika Waititi is a person who's able to find that. I think we're like Shane Black trying to find that minutia humor, right? In like those small little moments. I think Taika Waititi is better at doing that while also keeping people true to character and also being able to deliver the heavy moments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it all feels connected. That's what Taika Waititi is great at.
Mm-hmm.
You go, oh my god, I felt more impact by Thor, you know, having it out with his sister because he had all of his wacky moments earlier. It all works together in orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
Where, yeah, Captain Marvel, it's just like it wasn't cohesive. It didn't come together. It's like she's a human, like Top Gun fighter pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Living in the kind of patriarchy, whatever. And then she gets abducted by aliens and she gets like retrained and her brain, she gets, you know.
She's in an accident.
She's rebooted. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
She's in an accident. She gets superpowers, but then she wakes up and she's part of the Kree. And Jude Law, who's this Kree alien dude, is training her. And so she's learning to be like militaristic and like real tough and straight edge, whatever, you know, like, oh, we don't take no crap from, and there's our bad guys are the Skrulls and they're terrorists, so we're gonna go after the terrorists, right? So it's like playing up these tones, but she's like a wisecracking person in that stage, which doesn't work. I think she should be like a hardcore, like militant person going after the terrorists, you know, it's that person. And then like when she gets to Earth, then she starts like going, oh, I've had these weird dreams, these flashbacks of someone else, and oh, it's me. I'm dreaming about my past. Oh, I'm waking to what I used to be. And she's like this fun spirited person who is fighting the patriarchy to become a Top Gun pilot on Earth. And it's like it should have been two very different characters, and it didn't do that.
Yeah.
And so then when she like at the end, she kind of like comes together and like literally she was carrying half of her dog tag as an alien, and then she finds the other half of her dog tag later in the movie, and she like puts them together and goes, oh, because her name, what the hell's her name? Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like R and Val. I don't know what the hell it is. But anyway, she puts it together and it should have an impact. And you should go, oh, now these two sides of her are coming together and it's going to be a big deal. And you're like, nah, it all fell flat.
Well, it's tough too because I'm going to kick myself for saying this. It toes the line of being the female Green Lantern. Like it's real close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she plays a very female Ryan Reynolds.
Where she has kind of like unlimited power, but you're like, this doesn't
Well, yeah,
have
that-
stakes. I don't know what to do with this.
And it's funny too because the if you know the story of Captain Marvel, the entire movie is not a surprise. But if you don't know, it's like the oh what whoa like double cross. But if you know the story, you're just waiting for it. Like, okay,
I
get
don't
there.
know the story.
Right. So you'll probably be fine with it, except for the I'm just a girl in the fight scene. But
Oh yeah,
other
they
than
play,
that,
I'm just a girl.
Yeah.
Don't about
while she's whooping
me."
up dudes, yeah,
Yeah, the
As well.
soundtrack.
it's a nice casual watch. If I had to grab all the MCU movies and put it together, I'm not going to gravitate to that one to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one lands. I think again in the early Thor
Yeah,
world.
Yeah.
It's in Thor 2 territory.
yeah, Dark World. Oof.
I think Endgame is my personal favorite. I'd say the
It's hard for
original.
them. They don't live on themselves, but
Yeah,
they're
because the
great.
original Iron Man, I would say, is probably the best. Just
Yeah.
because it
Yeah,
was
that
so
one is-
surprising and the writing was perfect. It was just like so
And
gloriously
it wasn't
acted.
trying to build a universe. It was just a movie about a guy.
And there wasn't a universe, yeah. So Pepper was still kind of like the flustered assistant, and
Yeah.
they had
And it wasn't
their
campy.
will
It
they,
wasn't
won't
like
they.
campy superhero.
Yeah, it was
Right.
just so good, so
the
good.
tone was perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also, we had never, ever, up to that point, really seen a superhero movie in which the superhero outs himself at the end.
Right.
Or at any point in time, so every movie is always about the superhero protecting his identity. All of our Batman movies, all of our
Can't
Spider-Man
have my
movies,
girlfriend be found out. My aunt,
Yeah.
whatever it is,
and the
it got
brooding
tired.
superhero and stuff like that. But he's just like, oh no, I kind of want the attention, so,
Wait a minute,
Yeah.
I'm a piece of shit. You
Yeah.
go, yeah, that's why we want to watch you.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then I think that's maybe why Endgame is so great, is because it's the culmination of the whole series. But there's it almost rewrites the story to a certain degree because of the fact that it travels in time, and so you've got sort of a different Gamora and a different Thanos, and sort of these characters but don't know, and then there's all this redemption, and it's just a really, really, really good movie. I think it's like a solid film just to begin with.
Well, it doesn't have the super happy ending,
Right.
where because like the bad stuff happens and then they track him down and they go there and then Thor kills him
Mhm.
because he didn't kill him the first time. He screwed up the first time, so he kills him this time, and then he turns into Fat Thor because he's just like, well,
Yeah, he loses his way completely.
All right.
So, man, okay, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
it gives it a much more human. It's again that build up, like all the anticipation of the build up, and you get there and you're like,
When does he
oh.
kill him? At the beginning of Endgame?
Yeah.
And then he becomes Fat Thor in Endgame, or is he Fat Thor in the previous movie?
No,
No,
it's
in
that one.
Endgame.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's Endgame dovetail or Infinity War dovetails into the beginning, just days after.
Mhm.
So Endgame, the beginning of Endgame is days after Infinity War.
The result
And
of the
they're going,
snap. Yeah.
Oh, the snap seems to have done what he said he would do. Half of the population's wiped out. They're seeing how many of their crew's gone, and so with Captain Marvel, she rescues Tony and Magula. What's her name?
Mantis.
No,
yeah.
Gamora. Oh no, Nebula.
Karen
no.
Gilliam.
Nebula.
Yeah, Nebula, right?
Is
Is that her name?
Man, what's her name? Lovely lady. She was in Doctor Who. Anyways,
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
I think it's Nebula.
I'm looking it up.
And so, anyways,
What'd you call her?
Yeah.
Mandibles? What
I don't know what I
Mercules?
called her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maggies.
I forgot that they were stranded in space.
Yeah, they were stuck
Yeah.
in space because they were on Titan. And so, anyways, yeah, Captain Marvel brings them back. He has a falling out with
Nebula.
Captain America. Nebula, yes. And so then, so Thanos snaps again to destroy the Infinity Stones, and they sense it. They go, "There's this giant power surge," so we know where he is. They go and track him down. He's already destroyed the stones. They can't undo it. It's lost. Thor chops his head off and just mopes off.
Yep.
And then it's 5 years later. They jump to 5 years later.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Thor has just hit rock bottom, which makes sense for him. And
Yeah,
that's
it's a
like the good
tone.
thing. It's like they sit in the garbage. They go,
Mhm.
it's a wreck. We all lost. Where would we be in this moment? And Captain America is trying to have this. He's like a counselor to try and get people to like put their lives back
That's
together.
really funny.
And one of the Rousseau brothers is like plays the gay man who's like, I went on a date and we
Yep.
kind of got along, and then we both cried for a while. It's just
Oh,
like
that's right.
depressing. And he's like, but you're taking the steps, like good for you, man.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, oh boy, this is great.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
not
and
gonna see
that's
this in
why
any
they are
other
good, 'cause
superhero
it's-
movie.
They took a tone. You know, they put
Yeah.
them in a human perspective as opposed to this ultra fanciful superhero perspective. Like,
Right.
no, these are people that shop at grocery stores and
Mhm.
go to the bathroom.
And their friends died, and they're
Their friends
really struggling.
disappear.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
they haven't sorted it out well. Yeah, and you go to Black Widow, and it's like the implications of where what's his name, Hawkeye, has gone.
Yeah.
Like he's lost his family.
He goes
We're
into Ronin,
established
yeah.
that his whole family gets snapped away, and he goes all in on just murdering warlords. And
Oh,
she's
yeah.
trying to track him down, and it's Don Cheadle's like, I think I maybe know where he is, but I don't think you want to go there. And she's like, just find him.
Yeah.
She's losing it.
Just find him.
Yeah,
So
it's good.
Yeah. To revisit that at some point in time.
But then Robert Downey Jr. gives up the best gig ever,
Right?
and I don't know that he needed to.
Well, they all kind of did,
And
though.
I think all of them kind of are already going, maybe I didn't need to.
Mhm. Yeah.
Maybe I should have just said we won and I retire, and then I can just show up like 5 movies later.
I think that Tony Stark will show up again. Yeah.
He's already going to show up a bunch in the past.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's just a matter of time. There's already rumors that what's his name's going to be Captain America again and things. It's
Mhm.
like, yeah, they're all
Chris
come
Evans?
back.
Yeah.
Because as much as they got tired of it, the second they don't have it, they're going to go, maybe I did like it.
Well, but that's very in line with comics in general, though. You know, writing storylines, all this stuff. Eventually, they get tired of the character. They kill him / reinvent him, and it's a new person. I mean, they did a lot with Peter Parker and everything, where it's like a new Spider-Man for a time. Batman, even, you know, they sort of reinvented
Gesundheit.
him a couple times. Bless your little heart.
I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I may be allergic to alcohol.
Or Arizona Diet Tea.
Oh, no, it's the alcohol.
Yeah, it could be the hops. Were you drinking IPAs? IPAs have
Yeah, it is the
histamines in them.
hops.
Yeah, that'll
Yeah.
do it. Red wine and hops.
Means I'm a lightweight now, which is a good sign.
Where'd you guys
That's right.
go? Where'd you and the roomie go? Somewhere fun?
The one place that's open right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Smoke shop, barbecue place. Yeah.
Oh, that's brutal.
I honestly thought you were gonna say, yeah, we were just hanging out at the grocery store. just
Yeah, we
we
went
just
to
opened
the
up a six pack in the freezer aisle.
Yeah,
Well, there's
almost.
Whole Foods that have bars in them. Like basically, you know, they're like little
Wheatgrass
restaurants.
Welcome to the future.
Mango
Yeah,
dirt
right.
Where we're
water.
heading.
Yeah, that's all we're gonna get. It's Amazon. It's just gonna own everything.
The Amazon bar.
Yeah.
Oh,
You have to wait 2 days for your beer, but it'll get direct to your door.
yeah, a little drone will deliver, dump your beer on you.
Right down your gullet.
Nice. Google.
All right. Well,
Anywho,
yeah, anywho. What? Oh, jeez.
Chiefs.
Here we go, talk about Tom Brady. So I didn't watch that game. You remember how I predicted that Tom Brady would win? It didn't matter
Yeah.
Mhm.
who was good, who was bad.
Yeah.
It was just Tom Brady was going to win,
Yeah.
and I knew it. And because it's like a curse that
It-
I'm living,
Well, it's a reverse curse. It's a blessing.
won't
For most
go
people.
away.
He can throw 3 interceptions in a championship game, and
How?
still his team will win. Yeah,
That's the part. That's the part where I'm like, I'm
they
mad.
got a
that
good
the-
defense, man. They're
Well, yeah,
really,
I'm mad that
really
Tampa
good
Bay
defense.
won, but I'm more mad at Green Bay because they had 3 opportunities to put the game away
Yeah,
and they didn't.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad I
the
didn't
very
watch.
last thing when they kick the field goal, it's like, do you not understand what game you're playing
How
right now?
points work.
Like this is
Yeah.
literally
Did they
the
kick a field
last
goal when they needed to go for a
right.
touchdown?
This is the last
Yeah.
fourth quarter of this season. You are in under 3 minutes. There is no way in hell you're going to onside kick, recover, score. That's not how this is going to work. You've got Aaron Rodgers motivated to win. You go on it.
It was
You
fourth and
go for
goal,
it.
and the
Where?
thing is,
even logistically,
they
right?
were
So
on. They were like on the 3 or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So even logistically, if they don't make it, they
Yeah, you've
put
got 'em
Tom
backed
Brady on
up,
the
man.
3-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Chiefs still would have crawled out.
But
of it.
instead,
But
kick
so
the
many
field
errors.
goal and then kick it, and so it's kind of like I saw the reasoning for it, but when
I
you're
don't.
talking about your defense is playing as well as they were playing, but I mean the Buccaneers defense stopped them 3 times in a row, like hard,
like
and
third
kept
down stops.
yeah, it was just like they were destroying. But they've got Jason Pierre-Paul, who's obviously great, but they've got former Bronco. Oh man, now I'm blanking on his name. Who was one of those guys who was one of the star defensive guys. I think even won. He might have won Super Bowl 50, and then went to the Buccaneers for a whole bunch of money because they were a garbage team.
Oh,
And now,
Frankie Spaghetti.
yeah, yeah, I love him. And so now he's on a Super Bowl team again. And the center of the Buccaneers is from Fort Morgan, which is interesting. And
Right?
yeah, actually,
Jensen, yeah.
they're saying, and I think that there's a defensive guy on the Chiefs who also went to Pueblo. And so in the Super Bowl, there's two kids from Pueblo playing in the Super Bowl this year, which is kind of crazy. Yeah.
Now, is that a good sign?
Yeah. It's a great D2 school, apparently. They
I
produce
mean,
NFL players.
I'm not dissing any of these kids, but is football dead?
No, it's
Get
well
outta here.
alive and well. Yeah. It'll die when
But
Tom Brady
again,
retires.
seeing that Tom Brady just keeps going to Super Bowls easily,
Mm-hmm.
is Super Bowl is the NFL dead?
Well, it's
Right.
not.
Just
So
one
that's the thing.
half.
I would argue that
Tommy's
it's
alive.
it happens to be that Tom
Yeah,
Brady's
but
on that
he's
team,
not
but
that
the
amazing.
Bucks defense
They're
got the Bucks to
mean.
the Super Bowl.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
they're
it's like
mean.
Peyton Manning going to Super Bowl 50 this
Right.
year.
No, that offense was
Not as bad.
killer. Yeah.
Right. The offense is good,
Mhm.
but it was
He
the
is much more
defense that made it
competent
happen.
than Manning was in that year that he won that Super Bowl with Broncos.
I mean, it could have gone either way. Like the Packers were playing really well, and it could have gone
But
either
they
way.
were like, everyone's like, they're unstoppable,
Mm.
and then they got stopped.
No, you know who is unstoppable? Freaking
Zima.
Tyreek Hill.
Oh, I thought you were gonna make an
No, no.
ad.
Like watching that guy break away is just absolutely unreal. His speed, his acceleration, but then he's got like Barry Sanders level deeks
stop.
and cuts that is just like it's crazy stuff. And there's no way. I don't think that there's any way that the Buccaneers can win the Super Bowl. I think that the Chiefs are going to run away with it. I just think it's going to be a total blowout.
The only way they win is by keeping that offense off the field.
Mm-hmm.
If the Buccaneers turn into a running offense and just do 5 yards at a clip, 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, just that's how they do it. You keep them off the field.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the Patriots beat the Chiefs last year or 2 years ago in the divisional. Was they just put Mahomes on the bench the whole game.
Right.
Like I think the time
And
of
then they
possession was like
had
40 to
some
20.
Magical catch at the end of the game. Yeah.
And that was so I started watching The Four Falls of Buffalo. It's a documentary on ESPN all about the 4 Super Bowls that the Buffalo
exists?
Bills went to
Lost
in
to
the
Dallas.
90s. Yeah.
Friend made a thing about the 5 falls because we're joking that they would get into the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, and then lose
Brady.
again. But the that was the whole game, and it was the exact same thing that Belichick did because he was the defensive coordinator of the Giants in that Super Bowl. In that first Super Bowl, I think it was 25,
That
where
Norwood missed.
yeah, where Norwood missed the field goal at the end. But the Bills were a no huddle offense, like super fast paced, just like the Chiefs, like super fast paced, going all the time. And the way that they beat the Bills, where I think the Bills had like 20 minutes possession
Right.
time in that game. So there was no way to win. And it's interesting that he used that same sort of philosophy against them, a couple years ago. But
I mean, that's
any good
literally how it
offense,
works.
That's how you do it always.
yeah, true.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's why the Patriots are so successful, is because he understood that part. So yeah, he invented like the tight end 5-yard pass.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, didn't invent it, but like capitalized on this idea that if I can get 6 yards every play, I can march from the 20-yard line to the end zone and eat up 10 minutes and just chew through this clock so that you literally can't beat us. Like, unless we throw an interception, you get a run back, something weird happens, I will dominate this clock to the point where you cannot beat us.
Yeah.
Like you have to score touchdowns to
what's
beat
that
us.
line in Amadeus? The patron saint of mediocrity. It's like that's what the Patriots were. They weren't all-star highlights so much.
Yeah.
They were just B plus, just driving B plus down your throat the whole game,
Right.
the whole season, and they
still win
over and over and over and over, because teams that would have like an A plus highlights also had D minus shit happening.
Well, but
and their average is C.
Yeah.
And he's Belichick's like, we're not going to have A plus, but we're always going to have B minus and worse.
Well, it was more like a salary thing with them. It was just like everybody got paid B plus money,
Yeah.
or A minus money, and so they won because of that. When you've got a team
they
like
bought into, we will win.
yeah,
Just
like look at
don't
the
get as much
Texans.
money.
Texans
Like
paid Brock Osweiler $18 million to come to the Texans and play. What happened? Wah, wah. Matthew Stafford at the, just you can count the teams that pay their quarterbacks $20 million and they don't
the second you pay
do
someone
anything.
too much, it backfires. It doesn't work. A human can't be worth that much.
I don't know how it's working for the Chiefs though, because Mahomes is getting a lot. He's getting like 26 or something.
It's a very lucrative deal for him.
But they still got lots of good players.
Well, they have
right
a lot
now, but will they get dismantled right away? The Patriots had that longevity because they were able to sustain.
It's going to be. That's the
Brady.
threat every year, right? Is that the team that wins the Super Bowl immediately is going to lose 6 people to like free agency or whatever. And I think that what happened last year with the Chiefs is that they were like, you know what? Let's not do that. Like, let's just not do that.
Yeah.
Where we win and then we dismantle because we're all great. Like, come on. And I think that they successfully managed to keep that together. Now, if they win this year, who knows what happens? I mean, there are certain people that aren't going anywhere. Like Hill's not going anywhere. Hill, Mahomes, and Kelsey aren't going anywhere. But, you're going to get some defensive guys that shuffle in and out. You're going to get maybe a new running back or a backup tight end or some D-line guys. Like, there's going to be some shuffling there that you're like, all right. Well,
but again, I think it's stuff that people don't think makes.
They're going to lose coaches too,
but it makes a big difference.
Yeah,
and all those things that don't have that prestige do make a big difference.
Right. But like I said, they're going to lose coaches too. That's another thing that didn't happen was, but it is happening this year. Is that a couple of the Chiefs assistant coaches are being courted for head coaching positions, which I can't fault them. I mean, it's a very like, do you want to coach dudes for 6 months and make $50 million? I'll do it.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
okay.
But look how well it's not worked out for Josh McDaniels and Matt Patricia. Great examples of guys who went.
This is the gig with when you make a certain amount of money and you get fired, it's your fault if you're not fine.
Right. Yeah.
Like if you make, let's look at it from a different point of view, right? So imagine you make $100,000 a year, right? If retirement age is 65, average life expectancy is 85, that's 20 years. That's $2 million. So now if that's just for 25 years or $2.5 million, but that's 20 years that you have to survive off of $100,000 a year. Now, if you're a coach for one season and you get paid $10 million, you should be good for more than 20. Like you shouldn't be into the position of like, I have to work again immediately. I understand the need to work, the want to work, but if the financial part is what they're like, boo hoo, that's your fault.
Right.
Like if you couldn't put that away to the point where the threat of losing your job as a coach is financial, that's your fault, man. That's
That's true.
on you 100%. Because
it's
I will
not-
do this.
yeah.
I will trade you jobs today. I'll take $4 million to be a head coach of an NFL team, be the lowest paid NFL coach in history. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
done
do it right
and done.
now. I'll take the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's do this.
But like, I think even that, it's like, so going back to Hollywood, it's like when people start getting to a certain pay grade, they go, well, now I have to live this lifestyle that is appropriate to that thing.
Right,
that
but I
what
don't
people
know if
expect from-
coaches fall into that.
Yeah, I
though,
don't.
right?
Oh, yeah, they do.
Athletes do 100%, but I don't think
definitely do.
coaches. Well, I'm sure the coach drives a Rolls Royce,
Some
or
do.
some. But it's like you look at Belichick, and it's like that cutoff sweatshirt is not a $500 cutoff sweatshirt. That is a Target special. No offense,
Well,
cutoff.
yeah, that guy's like the billionaire that owns a computer company that like has garbage everything because he's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
That's Bill Belichick, but
Yeah.
he's
So
rare.
the
in
threat
that
the threat of that stuff is
Or
like,
there's
I get
the
it.
guy who's coaching the Broncos. I just love. I look at this post every now and then. It's, I don't know. Maybe his wife did the video or something on Instagram, and he's making meatballs in his kitchen, listening to Frank Sinatra while making meatballs. And that was like the
Alright.
video, and it's just like 15 seconds of him like looking completely dazed and like rolling a meatball in his hand, and there's Frank Sinatra playing in the background. It's magical. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna show you guys right now.
What's the
'cause it's ridiculous. I don't know. I think it was
it's
just
a
like
fun video.
making his family recipe meatballs or something like that. You're like,
Yeah.
cool.
It was like was when Elizabeth Warren tried to like connect with the people by like being in her house drinking wine, and everyone's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, nice.
Does he have?
So yeah, 2 weeks
Yeah,
to the
he
Super
does.
Bowl. Super stoked.
The
Super Saga
Deuce.
Cheetah.
What Super Bowl number is it?
50.
56.
There's a 55.
55, I think.
Oh, that was close.
Yeah, it's 55. I'm looking at my Kansas City Super Bowl 54 champion banner to get the that I will get a second one of this year when they repeat.
They're definitely going to repeat. And there's
Let's
no
all
doubt
hope.
about that.
Oh, I hope so.
It's
I
happening.
can't. I want to see sad Brady. I
We
want
all
another.
do.
I want
Well,
another
not
meme
all
of
of
him
us.
crying.
I love Tom Brady. I'm the rare one. I think he's awesome.
I would not give a crap if I didn't live in New England.
Yeah, I think he's
I don't.
awesome.
I don't
That's my
dislike Tom
reason.
Brady. Like the what he has accomplished professionally is undeniably impressive. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's the goat. Go away. You're the goat. Go get out of here. We get it. You're destroying
He's the
football.
goat.
I think football's a joke because of you now. Quite literally. Yeah.
But yeah,
Find this.
you can't deny that his output. So
Oh, of course. Well, his consistency over 20 plus years is
Yeah.
unmistakable. Yeah.
Right.
For sure. And even when I was like being a hater, I would still put him in top 3 of all time just because I was like, what does top all time mean? You have to have a solid team behind you. You know, it's like,
oh yeah, I
still
saw
very-
an article by somebody who said stop calling it the goat versus the future goat. He's like, because you understand that goat is all time, right? So somebody can't be the greatest of
future.
all time and then
Yeah.
be the future greatest of all time, because that makes the current person
Right.
not the greatest of all time. If you already know that there's stop it, just
Right.
stop it.
I've never liked the
Greatest of
goat thing
this time.
anyway. Because when we were like kids, the goat was the guy who was like the loser, like
Blew it.
the Norwood who misses the field goal in the Super Bowl. That's the goat. And now it's an acronym meaning the greatest of all time. So it's complete opposite. So that really
Yeah.
confused me.
Yeah.
And then Honda adopted it for the new Bronco, or no, Ford for the new Bronco, and they have new GOAT, which is go over all terrain,
Oh,
because it's got a
Wow.
little switcher so you can drive over like mud,
Nice.
snow, dirt, asphalt. But it's their GOAT system. Like I get it as the mountain goat climbing, da 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 da. But it's like, all right, well, somebody leaned into that one a little too hard.
right.
Turn this on and you can roll over all those ashes of all the burned down forest.
Nice.
Climate change is a hoax. QAnon.
I'm not
What
finding the
else?
video, so it's okay. I'll find it for you guys and send it to you. I think part of it was because they were trying to it was during all the BLM stuff, and Vic Fangio said to a reporter that racism doesn't exist in the NFL and he's never seen it. And the Broncos were like, okay, cool. Now we got to clean up this mess. And I think it was one of those like, hey, let's show everyone what a cool guy he is, except that they were showing him doing the whitest thing possible, which is making meatballs in his $1 million house listening to Frank Sinatra. I was like, you guys really
like a big pizza pie.
There's no racism. Yeah, it was just brutal. I'm gonna have to find it some point in time. So if you guys need some delightful trash to watch, I suggest Bling Empire on Netflix. I started watching that last night. It was
amazing.
Phenomenal. I love
I
it.
started Umbrella Academy season 2.
Ooh.
You started what?
I've never
Umbrella
seen season
Academy season 2.
I thought you said something cavity. I was like,
Well, no, I was
I'm gonna find this person.
I punched through the final season or the last season of Big Mouth. Like season 3 or season 4, I can't remember. I finished that one because that came up, and then when that was done, it's like you might also like it. Like, oh yeah, I did like Umbrella Academy season 1, so I started season 2. I haven't gone back to my DVR. I've been underwater with work stuff, unfortunately, recently. So like I can't. Like I've got Dark Materials backed up. I've got a bunch of stuff.
Dark Material backed up.
That wasn't accidental, by the way. Yeah, no, I've got a backlog on my TV that I need to punch through, but I literally can't find like the time to do it justice. I was telling Matt, I got Ready Player 2, the book, the sequel to Ready Player 1, one of my favorite movies, and it's just right there, and I can't grab time.
Touch it.
Because I know it's also not one of those. I was telling Matt, it's not one of those like I'll read a chapter and then go to bed. Like, nope, it's gonna be like flip. Yeah.
I was speaking of Umbrella Academy when one year, I forget what year it was, during the Denver Comic-Con. I was out afterwards and just having some food, and at this bar, like it was like some hotel in Denver, which is not usually like what I do, but it was like during that time, it's just so busy, and it was right there, and it's a nice looking bar. So I was like, okay, let's just sit there and watch, or sit there and eat. And so I'm looking across the bar, and there's this couple sitting there, like two of the most like gorgeous human beings like I've ever seen. And I was just like, and I didn't put two and two together that it was Comic-Con time. And I was just like, they are way too hot to be like in Denver. So they're clearly like here for something.
Yeah.
And they're sitting at the bar, and I couldn't figure it out. And then, because then it was the next day that I went to Comic-Con and pulled out the pamphlet, and there was like all the people that were going to be on things. And this was the person at the bar.
It's washed out.
No, it's not focusing on her. The lady from Umbrella Academy. Oh man, you can't even see it, can you? Hang on. I'm trying to cover up the thingy.
Put her closer.
Will that work?
All I can see is my reflection of me.
There you go.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
There we go.
Right there.
That person from Umbrella Academy, and then the dude who's on the God, I'm just blanking on literally everything right now. The TNT show about the train that goes too fast that Josh Hartnett was in the original movie. Snowpiercer. The dude with the dreads. Yeah, the dude with the dreads on that. So I don't know if they're together now or whatever, or if they were just whatever reason. But it was those two sitting there. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So very, very famous actors. Excellent. That would be why they're so beautiful. And yeah. It wasn't Josh. It was Captain America was in the first one.
Yeah.
Snowpiercer. Yeah, it was Chris Evans.
Was in the caboose eating.
Yes.
All we really eat is bugs. Have I told you about me and friends out here came up with Snowpiercer the musical? It's just a musical review, and you just go through each car, and it's like different songs. Yeah, so it's that, and then Snowpiercer.
Little James Bond
It's
theme.
the train guy goes round the world. Yeah, and then at the end, I came up with the Chris Evans, the big money finale, rock finale is Baby Stays the best, bow, 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 better than all the rest. There's pyrotechnics.
Nice.
For
Oh,
anyone
that's
who's
great.
watched Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Well done.
Have you watched the show?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Not yet. I was nervous about watching the show just because
Sean
the
Bean's
movie
in it
was
now.
so like iconically on its own that
Yeah.
I don't know how you take the show other than literally like car by car. Each episode is a new car. Like,
Right.
Right.
Well, there's a new.
Now it's the upper middle class car.
Yeah. Like,
Right.
oh, it's the aquarium car. Neat. So we're just gonna look at fish for an hour. Cool. Thanks.
Now it's the grunge car. Oh, they're in the grunge.
Where's
music.
Drew Barrymore? Is she wet?
Yeah. Call back.
good
Call
call.
back.
That movie with weird lines that haven't
Kiss,
aged
kiss,
well.
Bagman.
I like All We Eat Is Bugs. That's great. That's a great song.
Yeah. Bugs. Yeah. And I thought Hard Knock Life, you could just have them sing Hard Knock Life as
Yeah.
well. 'Cause they're-
Just
That's
in
a
general,
shoo-in.
right? Just straight up. No adjustments.
yeah, no changing. Yeah.
I watched. Oh, speaking of, anyway, I watched the Blues Brothers start to finish.
The
Haven't seen
original.
that movie in a long
Yeah, right.
time, but it's amazing
Yeah,
how much
Me
it
too.
featured music. Absolutely, like Aretha Franklin, Cab Calloway, all
Oh,
that
yeah.
stuff. Just like straight up, she sings this respect in a restaurant.
Mhm.
It's real good.
It's basically a
It's-
musical.
It's 100% a musical.
It's like
Yeah,
a
we were.
musical Wizard of Oz sort
Yeah,
of.
Andrew and I
Yeah.
were talking about the because we were watching something, and the scene where he's driving through the mall has a very specific soundtrack. I can't remember the name of the song, but I'm like, is this Blues Brothers? Like, oh, it is. And like, I don't remember the last time I saw this start to finish. So we, watched it start to finish then, and yeah, at some point, it's like, this is a musical, right? Like
Right.
this is musical. We're watching
Yeah.
a musical right now. Like, oh, because there's dance numbers and choreography. It's like you can almost see the words across the bottom with the ball bouncing on it. That's how
Yeah.
so much of this actually is. But it's really funny too with Dan Aykroyd because he's so kooky, but he's
Mhm.
so convinced in his own kookiness.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like it doesn't look rehearsed or
Mhm.
unnatural.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah. I
he
mean,
is
Nothing But
kooky.
Trouble is like that. Ghostbusters is like
Yeah.
that. You just think every role that he plays, he is committed. He is in it.
It's
And he's
it's
so good.
fantastic, and it's you forget about it. Like you forget about because all you really see of Dan Aykroyd is clips.
Yeah.
You never see something of him start to finish. So when you do, it's just like,
Well,
all right.
Yeah, I just
All right.
watched I went on a Chris Farley rabbit hole a while back, and I forgot that he was in Tommy Boy. He's like he kind of
Yeah,
plays like
he's
the
Tommy.
rich guy who. Yes, you're right. Chris Farley is in Tommy Boy. Dick.
Who does he play? Tommy.
Yeah. Dan Aykroyd's in Tommy Boy.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like the big
Oh, yeah,
industrial,
yeah.
like the
The
Midwest
Zelensky,
guy
the,
that's made
Yeah,
it,
the
right?
auto
Zelensky,
parts
yeah.
owner.
And he's just got this crazy accent. Where he's just like, "Hey kid, what is
Chicago
going
guy,
here?
right?
Yeah, oh, yeah." And it's like real weird and wacky. And it's just like, oh, there's Aykroyd doing weird Aykroyd stuff again in this movie starring Tommy, aka Chris Farley.
Is that the one that also has Rob Lowe? Yeah. Is that one?
It is,
'Cause there
yeah.
was Black
Yeah.
Sheep, and I kind of conflate them at times.
It's always hard
Right.
to keep those
Yeah.
together.
Tommy Boy's
Tommy
the one
Boy-
that has all the highlights, where Black Sheep just came and went. It
Yeah.
didn't really have much
Tommy
main
Boy's
thing.
got Bo Derek in it as well.
Yeah, Bo Derek has got the fat guy and the little.
Yep. When they're
And
on the road
what are
trip
you,
trying
a
to sell
doctor?
Callahan.
Yeah. on a
I
walkie-talkie?
don't hurt here, I hurt right here. Yeah, all that,
Mm.
all
Yeah.
that shit.
Yeah, Black
That's
Sheep
gonna leave a mark.
wasn't quite
Things like that.
was good, but did not quite have the same level of like zingers.
That
The
one
one that
has
was
voting fraud.
Right. And
What's got people
Mudhoney,
car?
voting
the band.
just like the 2020 election.
Yeah.
It all comes back. Yeah.
but it's all very like, especially Tommy Boy is all just kind of SNL sketches strung together.
Yeah.
Like the scene in the car where they're trying to figure out the radio station and they kind of leave it on the one
Spanish
song.
channel.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that stuff. That's just a sketch that you would see.
Yeah, just loose ideas they just force together.
Yeah, I mean, may as well capitalize on it all. Have you seen I Am Chris Farley, the documentary? It's great.
I think I did. It's older, right?
2 or 3 years, yeah, something like that. Maybe more.
I feel like I watched one of them because his brother. They tried to push his brother up. That looks just like him.
Very similar. Yeah.
No, this is the documentary just about Chris Farley, and so they interview like
Chris Farley.
they interview like Saget and and David Spade, of course, and just a ton of comedians. So it's cool because it's all those guys kind of reminiscing about how crazy he was.
I think I've seen clips, but I've never seen.
Yeah, it's really really good.
I don't know if it's in it, but like Norm Macdonald's story of when he met Chris Farley, they were somewhere, and Chris Farley's like, "Here, come here, just come here with me, follow me." And Norm Macdonald's like, "Okay," and they go and he pulls him into like this little like broom closet, wherever the hell they are, some hotel or something, and he's like, "Pat's a woman."
What?
And the Pat sketch where it's like Julia Sweeney plays Pat. It's time for androgyny, the thing that you can never air now in a pro transgender era. But it's like Chris Farley goes, "I got something to tell you. Pat's a girl." Like he didn't know that Julia Sweeney played Pat. It's just like a very
That's
funny.
awesome. Well, David Spade was on Conan, and he was telling a story about how, because Conan was a writer on SNL at the time, so he knew all those guys, from that. And he said that Conan would get calls from Chris Farley when Farley was super mad at David Spade, because they were like best friends. But I mean, Farley was like a legit cokehead, alcoholic, like super volatile.
And they're under the stress of just being at SNL.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I got the teeniest taste of that, and I'm like, oh god.
And he's under all the influences, so he would get like raging mad. And I guess one time, some girl was talking to David Spade, and Chris Farley was super mad about it, and he called and left a voicemail on David Spade's voicemail about like, "I'm going to like kill you. I'm going to come to your house with like a pipe and murder you." And it's just like this raging voicemail. And then he like called Conan, and he's like pissed, and he's like screaming at Conan, and Conan's like, "You need to like apologize and tell him that you're sorry." And so he said the next day when they were like at SNL, Farley walks in and he goes, "Did you get my joke voicemail?" That's how we like started the conversation. Yeah, and you could totally see him being like, it was funny, huh? That joke voicemail. Like,
Can I walk this all backwards?
Yeah. It's great. There's also
Like certain senators on the floor of the Congress right now. What do you mean?
Can I walk this
It's
back?
all funny, right?
Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Fuck.
There's a great Jim Carrey story too. He's telling on Norm Macdonald's show, and he was telling him, he said when they were almost done shooting Batman, and Jim Carrey was out to dinner, and he saw Tommy Lee Jones eating at the same restaurant. So he's like, "Oh, I'll go over and say hi."
Oh no.
So, and they're shooting this movie together. They're playing like titular characters together, and he walks
They're
over
the
to
two
him.
villains.
Yeah, and he's like, hey Tommy. And Tommy Lee Jones gets up, he walks over, and he whispers in Jim Carrey's ear, "I hate you. I cannot stand you." And he's like telling him like he hates that he's like playing like goofy characters all the time. Basically, was his thing was he hates him and how he acts.
Leave.
And so Norm Macdonald's like, "Were you guys done? Like, was the movie over? Had you met?" He goes, "No, we were just about to shoot like the biggest scene in the movie." And he drops this nugget of gold on my lap. It's like, that's crazy, man. Like,
What
just
did you
keep
say
it to
about it?
yourself.
But like, how did Jim Carrey feel about it? Was he just like,
Yeah, he's just
what
like,
happened?
okay. But I think maybe it came around to like, but you know, Two-Face was not exactly a not crazy character, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
So it's like,
Right, it
oh,
worked.
I think that's what he said. He said, Norm Macdonald goes, but he probably cashed the check, right? He was like, yeah, of course he did. You know, it was like, not like he was trying to walk some sort of like artist high ground, but he was in the same movie as, you know,
Yeah.
Jim Carrey,
Right. Yeah.
which is
It's like, don't worry, No Country for Old Men is in your future. You'll be fine.
yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, right.
You know, and
Like,
so
Anthony
was,
Hopkins, you'll say yes to everything. It's fine. We still
Yeah.
respect you as an actor. Yeah.
was he in Wild
Who
Hogs?
cares?
What did he do? I forget. What was that old Space Cowboys? Was that the one?
Yeah, he's in
Cowboys.
Space Cowboys.
Yeah.
That's a solid movie too.
I've actually never seen it.
Anal
good.
Rangers. He was in.
He played the Pink Ranger.
The Red Rocket.
All right. Calling it a night. Thank you for listening, folks. Thank you to our listener on Facebook. We love you. We
Yay!
appreciate you sticking with us all night.
Appreciate
We
it.
saw you there. So if you're listening on the anything
Thank
really,
you, Tommy Lee Jones.
Find us-
We knew you loved us.
thank you, Chris Farley. Thanks for
Say
that
what you
wonderful
will
movie,
whisper.
Tommy Boy, that I just learned you were in tonight. And yeah, listen, catch us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, anywhere your podcasts are listened to. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you all next week.